in there. Whatever. All right. Well, welcome to the show, Trent.
Thank you.
For people that don't know you, you and I go a little bit back, not like ways back. It's not like we're best friends, but ironically, we worked 2 days together at Guitar Center.
A million years ago.
Consecutively. It was 2 Christmases we worked with each other at 2 Black Fridays is what it was. But for people that don't know you, tell people who you are, what you do, and all the interesting little tidbits about you.
Yeah, my name is Trent, and I am the singer and guitar player for the band Destroy the Planet. And I guess what things I do off the side. I was just telling you in the email is that I have a podcast with another person where we review like bad movies, and it's called Do You Remember This Movie? And so with my friend Cam and a friend that is Corey Wavanak.
Oh no shit!
Yeah,
Wav's dude. I love Wav.
Yeah, he's funny.
Wav is one of my favorite human beings, dude. Because like, no matter how authentically dickish I was being, like, meaning I wasn't putting up any pretenses, I was just being myself and reacting to the moment. Wav always saw just the chill, sarcastic version of it, whereas other people would be like, God, he's a dick. And Wav's like, no, that's not what he was saying. Like, you don't get it. You don't understand, Jared.
The guy's never had a bad day, so he doesn't let anything hurt him. He's somebody you look up to, because you wish you could be have his demeanor all the time.
Yeah, he's always happy, fun to be around.
No stress.
Yeah.
So so I have my podcast. I've got my band. And awesome. And we're gonna share the stage with your band.
Yeah, dude, we're playing a show. I'm stoked for this, dude. Thanks for doing the show with us, man. It's our first headlining show. It's gonna be very important for us. We really want to draw and get people out. It's important for us, obviously. It's important for all the bands, for obvious reasons. We get paid, all that kind of cool shit. But what's really the mission here? My whole band is about doing something, we're trying to, and same thing with Greg Moog and Greg Chilton, and a lot of people trying to help bring back a version of the music scene, right? So we're trying to build these foundations of good venues, good shows, good bands, and we're just trying to be one of those pieces of many moving this forward. So please, you guys, grab the pre-sale tickets, links in the description. Pre-sales are only $10. There's no bullshit fees, just tax. So if you grab 2 tickets, it's like $22 or $24 or some shit like that. $15 at the door if you don't like putting your credit card online. I get it, but
I just talked to
I'm excited, man. I'm looking forward to it, dude.
You mentioned Greg. I just talked to Greg on the way here.
Moog?
Yeah.
Or Chilton?
Moog.
I mentioned 2 of them.
Yeah. So I talked to Greg on the way here, actually. I obviously we share a drummer, right? So, I did I like to just help out. Like, I like to be the guy that people can count on. One of my worst qualities
Stay on the mic.
One of my worst qualities
you
of
can
myself.
pull it back if you want to sit back.
One of the worst things about myself is that I can't seem to say no to anybody. Right.
Oh, poor baby.
Yeah. So I am constantly editing people's videos, and but I was actually at a show, one of our shows, and Greg was there, and he was talking about how they were playing Rockfest, and they needed they were trying to figure out how they can get a banner for their show, and I was like, I bet I can make a banner, and so I made their banner that they
printed
used.
It?
No, I had my wife sew material together, black material together, and put in the channels for the rods to go across.
Okay.
And then I took a projector and put their logo on there, and then just used little pieces of tape and went in there and made a stencil, and then used fabric paint.
Dude, that's exactly how my bass player Kevin did it when I was in a band called Solace and Ashes, verbatim.
Yep. And that's what they used at Rockfest.
Yeah, I saw it. It's pretty cool. What was crazier is right behind it, they had, and what was insane is that banner was sitting behind Al.
Yep.
And so you could kind of see it. But what was crazy is I didn't know they had a digital billboard.
They didn't know that either. So
their logo was like 40 feet tall. Yeah. That's pretty cool, dude.
Yeah. So
how much time did that take?
4 hours.
Couldn't say no.
That's
4 hours, dude. That is, you're very generous with your time, dude.
Yeah, I seem to get I'll put this message out there. Stop having me edit your videos. I just that takes days.
Speaking of, do you want to edit our music video?
Yeah, so in our band, Al's the audio guy and I'm the video guy, right? So
That's really cool that you have that balance.
yeah,
That's super cool.
When people need audio stuff, they send it to Al, and he doesn't have time for it either. But we still do it because we want this not to pay back as far as like monetary. We want this to pay back in karma, right? So
Like a pay it forward.
yeah,
is
like
what you're saying.
So I like helping people out. I don't like helping you out because you don't want to do it. That's
right.
all.
Which is super funny because that's always when I ask for help. I'm like, I don't want to do this shit. I don't have time for this shit. It's not that I can't. It's that I got XYZ on my plate. I can't do a fourth thing. I don't want to do this fourth thing. Let me see if I can find somebody else to do this shit. Yeah, I'm totally that guy. Yeah. When I ask for help, it's because I either can't or I don't fucking want to, dude. Because I'm one of those guys who says you can do anything if it's a high enough priority, right? So guys are like, oh, I'm too busy. It's like, no, you're not too busy, but the thing you're trying to squeeze in isn't a high enough priority for you to get rid of the 2 or 3 distractions you have, your fuck around time, right? It might be video games. It might be, your extra 45 to an hour and a half dump you take every day, whatever. Those are serious things for you, so you protect them. And so this other thing you're trying to squeeze in, it's not a priority. You're not too busy. Almost nobody's too busy. We're just either really bad at managing our time or this thing isn't something we want to do, right?
Yeah.
I think the only difference between me and a lot of other people in that specific thing is that I just flat out admit it. a lot of other people try to bullshit themselves through it, and then they try to bullshit other people through it. But again, working at Guitar Center, working for Carson and some of these other people, they're very smart. I think Carson might be an actual genius, like very high IQ level of intelligence. And then I also worked for my buddy Kevin, very high IQ.
Kevin Sullivan?
Yeah. No, he's my best friend, best man at my wedding. And he was my boss for a while. And again, very high IQ person. So you can't bullshit him and outsmart him. It's just not going to be a thing. And that's kind of where I started to get that from. It's like, no, this just isn't important to you. It's like, fuck. It's like, I don't want to compare him to Jesus, but sometimes it felt like arguing with Jesus. Like they always had a wiser, more logical way of thinking about it than I did at that time. And I always felt like dumb or wrong when I was arguing with them and shit. And they'd be like, no, and here's why. And I'd be like, fuck, fine. I'd begrudgingly accept it. And then like 2 weeks later, I'm like, this makes a lot of sense. 2 weeks after that, I'm like championing the idea. I'm like, this is why we do things. That's a sign of a good manager though, right? You can speak to that. I mean, you ran Appleton for a long time.
No, actually, I didn't. I didn't. I ran.
I thought you took over Appleton.
I did.
I
ran it for 10 months.
I thought you ran it for like years.
Mm-mm.
So you only ran it for 10 months and then went corporate and did the mobile training thing?
Then I did. And then I took over Brookfield, which was a struggling store. And I ran Brookfield for 15 months, and then went to the corporate office and worked for the training team for 5 years.
That's where your time was. That's where I made the mistake.
And then I ran Edina, which then became Bloomington, and I did that for I don't know 5 or 6 years, 7 years maybe. I can't do the math. That might have been 8 years.
Yeah, I lost a guitar at that store in the shuffle. When I left, there was a guitar tech. Remember when they had the separate tech department?
Yeah.
I don't know if it still is, but it was like still Guitar Center, but it's a legitimately different company, so they didn't really answer to anybody. And one of the guitar techs refused to work on my guitar until I pre-purchased everything.
Oh.
And I was like, fine, but I'm leaning on you to tell me what to buy. And he never did. So then my guitar just sat there. And then I left. And I was like, so yeah, dude, just tell me what to buy so I can get this thing going. Never got the email, never. Eventually, I kind of forgot about it. I moved. And then the store moved. And my guitar's gone.
Oh, they took everything. I was part of that. So.
Oh, but I called.
Oh, really?
Like every 3 to 6 months, I'd be like, hey, man, I'm missing this guitar. Like, can somebody track this down? And every single person was like, yep, I see it here. I see when you checked it in. Yep, I see it. I'll go look for it. I'll have somebody call you back. Nobody ever called me back. So it means it was stolen or missing, and Nobody wants to admit it. It sucks, but that's kind of my fault for leaving it up there. It's not your fault.
What was it?
It's a beautiful Yamaha. Is 1980s neck through Yamaha. What was it, like a fucking? God, I can't remember the model number. But it was a badass.
Like an
guitar,
like a RGX, RGZ.
It sounds something like that, but that sounds like the cheap Ibanez. So it might have been the same model, but yeah, I don't want to say that because that reminds me.
Oh, but it was like electric.
Yeah,
like
really,
a Super Strat.
Yeah,
that was probably an RGZ.
It might have been, yeah. Or a YGZ or some shit.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Because I know they used Y in a lot of their shit. But anyways, I forgot. I was supposed to talk to you about that a long time ago. But again, it's something like it's out of sight, out of mind. You forget about it. You drop the ball on it. But well, back to your band. Where does the name come from, dude?
Oh, that's great. So I am one of those unfortunate people that has been in like 40 bands and have hated every single band name. So band names has always been something I've always stressed about. And
you mean like stressed as in it's important, or stressed as in like you can't come up with a good one and it bothers you? What do you mean by stressed?
I just want something that you'd be proud of telling somebody. You know, I've been in like some dumb band names. Like no offense to these guys, but I was in a band right out of high school called the Ides of March.
That's actually not that bad.
It was terrible. And then the reason why they came up with that name is because all of our birthdays were in March.
That's dumb.
It is dumb.
But it's a cool name.
So I was thinking of like I'm really into sci-fi, and like our band is kind of sci-fi themed, right? So I was thinking of something you would see on like one of those sci-fi movie trailers, you know,
Sure.
something you see at a drive-in theater. Right? Destroy the planet. That's where that came from.
Okay. So you had the music first, and then came up with the band name.
I will tell you what the band was gonna be named, though.
What's that?
You know, like Guns N' Roses, right? I always thought that would be that was such a cool name because like it was
very cool. Yeah, especially the lore behind it.
Yeah. So it
sounds cool. It looks cool. When you write it, it's cool. But then when you learn. So for people that don't know, real quick, it was L.A. Guns, and then Axl Rose joined the band.
Hollywood Rose, yeah, because he had a band.
He had a band called Hollywood Rose, right? But it's because that was named after him, which was Axl Rose, right? So it's Guns and Roses. It was combining two different bands. It's genius, just like fucking it worked, dude.
So this kind of goes to the sentiment that
hold on, they didn't really merge two bands though, because Axl's the only one that came from that band, right?
No, Izzy was in.
It was Izzy as well. Yeah. So it was Duff and Steven Adler from LA Guns, and then it was Izzy and Axl Rose, and then Slash came in directly from his audition for Poison.
Yeah, I don't recall that.
It's in his book.
His book. I have his book, and I've never read it.
He went to Poison's audition, and he got the job. But they wanted him to wear makeup, and he wasn't feeling it. So he left there and went directly to the Guns N' Roses audition and also got that job. And they didn't, even though they wore makeup, he's like, but listen, I don't want to do makeup. And they were like, yeah, we don't give a fuck. And he was like, cool. And that's how, literally, and that's pretty much how it's described in the book. It's kind of a very short little excerpt, just like real short, like matter of fact. They wanted makeup. They didn't care.
Well, so I've never been able to come up with a cool band name. However, I do love the Destroy the Planet name. But the band name was going to be, like in the vein of Guns N' Roses, it was going to be Tarantulas and Spatulas. And
that's terrible, buddy.
Yeah. But it would have been cool on a shirt.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. If you have a cool logo, you can make anything look cool.
When I first started making the notes for the record, we were under the name Green El Camino.
That's actually not that bad. It doesn't fit your sound, but that's actually not a bad band name either. That's like a cool, like hipster indie rock band. Green El Camino. I like doing fake band names. When you start a band, you should play a few shows under a fake band name.
Oh, just in case you suck?
Well, yeah, or just to work the kinks out, and you don't want to like embarrass yourself. You don't want to put a bad rap on that name from the beginning, you know. And my favorite one I ever came up with was FAA, like the, Federal Aviation Association or whatever the fuck it's called. And I was going to steal their like badge logo, but it actually stood for failed assassination attempt, and it was going to be a silhouette of Trump like You know what I mean? With his arm up after he got shot, and then I had a target over his head again. Like there's another one. Oh, dude, that was gonna piss people off though. But yeah, that was just a fake one, dude. Band names are tough though. Is the point?
Yeah, I auditioned for a band that especially at the time, it was like 2004. That they actually never ended up being a thing, but their band was called F***K.
Oh, okay.
And then they had their logo, like the KISS logo with the lights to put behind. They actually never became a band, but there was for a brief moment there was an idea of a band called F***K out of Florida that I auditioned for, and that would have been a cool band name.
Ides of March really isn't that band. Is there any band names that you were in that you're super proud of?
No.
No. Dude, that's so funny. The look on his face is way funnier than the way he said it. Dude, the look, the absolute factual intensity in his eyes that will never show up on camera for the viewers. No. The way he looked at me, no.
Yeah, I wanted to, like I think a cool band name is something that looks cool on a shirt, something that you'd be like Metallica is a cool band name.
Maybe the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Van Halen.
Yeah, and like that was like when if you were.
And it's not just the name; it's also the logo of the name, right? Like, it's not a stupid symbol; it's the name as it's written. Def Leppard, another cool one. Motley Crue was a great one. Guns N' Roses, an all fucking timer, especially with the skulls on that first album and the cross. Like it was, dude, that's beautiful, dude. People got tattoos of that.
Yeah, see, that's what I was saying. Like, would you get it? I would get a Destroy the Planet tattoo. Totally would. I think that's awesome.
I mean, I don't have any tattoos, so that's a high bar for me, but we're talking about lunatics. We're talking about music lunatics. Fanatics, that's what they're called. We're talking fans, real fans.
I was in a band that we hated the band name so much that we stopped calling the band that name, right?
That's bad, dude.
I was in a band called Fusebox, and I hated it so much. The drummer's girlfriend came up with it, that we just referred to the band name as the F word. And so, which is a 1,000% better band name than Fusebox. And I was in that band for a while. So, but yeah, whenever I refer to that band, that was the F word, right?
Yeah, I've only had one, The Tyrants. That was a great band name, and that's the only one I ever had. And ironically, I'm very bad at coming up with band names, but I actually came up with that one.
Well, I came up with a band name once, and I was so proud of it, and I was so excited, and I didn't want to waste it on the band that I was in at the time, right? This is a great band name, and I shouldn't say this. I shouldn't say this story, but I went to a record store once, and like a vinyl store in like the late '90s, and I saw there was another band named this, and I was like, oh no, that my dreams are crushed.
What was it?
Hold on. So I was in this other band. And we were having this exact same conversation about band names. And I said, I had this band name once, but I was so excited for like 6 years. I was holding out for the perfect band to name this band. And I go, but then I saw a record with that name on it. I was like, oh, somebody already took it. And so I told this other band this band name, and now that's their band name now. Anyway, it's Star 69.
Oh.
And so there's a band in Wisconsin called Star 69. The reason why they called it is I was in their band when they were called Sugar Bush.
Sugar Bush.
Yep. I've never been in a band with a cool name until now. And so
that's funny.
But they changed after I quit the band. They changed their name to Star 69, which is funny because I told them that name and the reason why I didn't use it, but that was okay with them.
So how'd you get to Destroy the Planet? You said you wanted something sci-fi, almost like a TV show or a movie show logo or a movie logo, something like that that like pops off the screen, which you definitely achieved that for sure because that's exactly what it looks like. So what's the motivation behind it? Like where'd the phrase come from?
Just like when I would watch like a bunch of those old movie trailers, that you would see like a drive-in theater in 1960 for like the B movies that or D movies even, and I just thought the Destroy the Planet made sense. But I did find out after our record came out that there's another band called Destroy Planets, which ruins our Google search.
And then there's probably another band called Planet Destroyer.
Well, and there's actually somebody just recently named their album Destroy the Planet, so it's ruining our Google search as well, but
that's stupid.
Yeah.
That shit's so annoying. That's people rightfully can talk shit about our band name, the Montoya Machine.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, there's only one of them. on the internet. You type in the Montoya Machine, you exclusively immediately get our band and our band only.
I registered our name as soon as I came up with it, right?
Sure.
So it is our name, but there are names that are similar, so that I wasn't looking for that, right? But yeah, I was in a band probably 15 years ago. I thought the band name was kind of cool. Our bass player came up with it. It was called Pretty Wicked.
That's not bad,
right?
Yeah.
But
that's actually a great cover band name.
And but we found out that some girl, she was 13 at the time, so now she's like 87. Some
damn, you're old.
Some girl registered that as her stage name, so we never moved forward. But I was in a band called Pretty Wicked.
It's so hard to come up with a good original band name that's not trademarked. Because that's the other thing. You could come up with one that's never been used, but some asshole came up with it, trademarked it, and is still not using it 15 years later. And I say some asshole because I'm thinking about, honestly, somebody like me, who's like, I got this project. I'm going to put it together someday. But it's tough, dude. Putting a band together is hard, man. Do you ever appreciate, because it seems like you've always been able to do this, be in a band, play shows. Do you ever, with the ease and the commonality that's kind of come with the length of your career, do you ever sit back and appreciate how difficult it is to just simply put a band together, let alone fucking actually write an album's worth of music, let alone actually play a show, let alone put that album out, let alone shoot a music video, let alone play a year or two's worth of shows or go on tour or open up for a national? These are all like super rare tiers. Each one of these things just gets harder and harder to accomplish.
Of course.
And I feel like a lot of us take that shit for granted.
And like Destroy the Planet is my first band that is,
your baby.
It is
your mind child.
Yeah. And so I've always been in somebody else's band, right? And so that's Destroy the Planet is definitely more important to me than any of the other bands, and not because it's current and not because it's now. It's because I've always been in bands that did covers. I mean, Destroy the Planet does a handful of covers, but they're not like your typical cover. I mean, we do some Misfit songs just to fill up a set, but but I've been in cover bands and tribute bands and all that kind of stuff, and I'll never say never, but I likely will never do that again.
Yeah.
I'm not going to play somebody else's music. Well, then it comes into where you're in somebody else's, original band, and you don't have a voice. And I know a lot of people who love doing that, and I don't know if I could do that either.
Yeah. That is like a personality type, right? Like there's writers and there's players. And in this town, it seems like the really good players, in order to make a career, they all have to leave. They go to LA or they go to Nashville. I'm sure some of them have gone to New York or Austin, but yeah, that's those rare people who don't need any creative, especially as a guitar player. Oh my God, dude. Like those are not a dime a dozen. Sorry, they're one in a million. If guitar players are a dime a dozen, then guys who are willing to have zero creative input and still be dope and play somebody else's music, those guys are one in a million. You know what I mean? Extremely rare.
I have zero desire. I mean, like I just had this conversation a couple days ago with somebody I work with that they saw a really good, like a yacht rock type of band that they went and saw.
Yeah.
And they're like, man, they're so perfect. You got to go see them. And I'm like, you know what? I can appreciate somebody who has that commitment and the time to learn a song specifically and work
this genre
and work it out as a band. And
like, what was that one dude? Something in the Cheese. He did all those fucking songs like lounge band style.
Oh yeah. Puddles? Are you talking like the clown guy?
No, he's like a lounge act. It's Something in the Cheese.
Oh.
And it's like Edward in the Cheese or Harry in the Cheese or something like that. Richard Cheese and the Lounge, that's what it is. Richard Cheese and Lounge Against the Machine. And they take metal songs, hard rock songs, everything from Disturbed to, I think, Guns N' Roses, all the way to Rage Against the Machine, and they do them in like a lounge version. Yacht rock is like that, where they're doing other people's music in a genre, right?
Oh no, yacht rock is like where they're doing Genesis and Christopher Cross and the yuppie type of
yeah, but aren't they doing it in the yacht rock?
Rock. I guess that's not how I define yacht rock. I think
yacht rock is like Michael McDonald.
Yeah.
So they weren't that.
No, they were
I
just.
think I know the band that you're talking about.
They were just doing direct copies of those, like note for note, perfect. And they have like 27 people in the band,
Okay.
and I appreciate the musicianship that goes with that, but I could just never do that. I would never, even when I was in cover bands, I wouldn't sit back and learn the solos note for note. I just couldn't. I
bet you I could get you to do it.
I couldn't do it.
What if I paid you $10,000 a night?
I was in a tribute band that I made a considerable amount of money.
$10,000 a night?
No, but I was.
But if I paid you, you play Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You're making $30,000 a week.
I was.
You would do it. You would do it. Don't lie to me, Trent.
No,
you would do it.
No,
$30,000 a week. You wouldn't do it.
No, you know what? I was in a
I
very.
respect it. I don't believe you, but I respect it.
I'll say this: I was in a tribute band, and it was super.
I do believe you. I'm just fucking with
It
you.
was super embarrassing to me, but I'll say they had it all. They had the money. They had I never had to pick up anything. I just grabbed my guitars. I would leave my gear with them. They had a crew that would bring it all in. I never touched a single thing while I was in that band. And they played the backing track, so like everything was perfect. I never had to practice with them. If they had a new song they were doing, they would just send me the file, and I'd practice. I mean, you can't deviate from the plan. I was
Are you comfortable saying how much you did make back then in this type of band?
Yeah, I was only playing, an hour a night, but I was making about $52,000 a year.
So you're making about $1,000. See, I think that's good to admit that out loud, though, because there's certain people even right now that would go, I would take that. Because they want to be a professional musician, even if it means not playing, because it's that hard for them to be in an office. You know what I mean?
I hated it. It was so soulless, and I'm not putting down anybody who does it. It just
isn't for you.
For me, like all I could think of was how can I make this mine? How could I, the problem with me with that band, and maybe this will explain my volatile thoughts on this, is that I didn't like the band we were tributing. Right?
Sure.
So it wasn't like a passion project.
It was a job.
It was a job, and
it wasn't even a career for you.
No,
it's a job.
And I was in that band for 2 years, and I walked out as they were getting even more popular, making more money. But the largest sum of money I ever made in my life was playing with that band. We were the closing band for the Wisconsin State Fair, and I took home $5,700.
That's crazy.
To play 1 hour a night for 10 nights.
That's crazy.
And never touch one piece of gear.
That's crazy good money. I mean, it's just finding that niche for yourself in the music industry where you can make that kind of money, right? Some guys are songwriters and they don't want to perform. So let them ghostwrite. Some guys are producers. Some guys are just a player. I just want to play lead guitar for the biggest crowds I can play. I don't care whose music it is. Just get me in front of people.
So I was so put off by that band, I took a 9-year break.
Wow.
I didn't play for 9 years. I mean,
Really?
I played guitar myself, but
It just took that much of your creative soul out of you?
it was just like I would every band that I was I just never really considered like, hey, I should put a band together and play my songs. Like I just never had that kind of ego. I mean, I have an ego, but I never had that kind of ego to think that anybody would want to hear that. But it was when I met Al, drummer for Destroy the Planet, Albert Bourne. He was like, you have some good songs. Like, we should record these. And that's actually what all Destroy the Planet was going to be.
Just a project?
Was just Al and I, and we were just going to record their songs. And we had another friend who said he was going to record us. And then it got a little bigger than that. And then now we're not recording in some guy's house. We're actually going to go and record this at Winterland, and we're going to really make this into something, bigger. And now it's a thing that we play. We had no intention of ever playing a show. Little weird thing with Destroy the Planet is that our first show was after we put the album out.
Yeah.
Like we didn't even have a bass player until we started recording.
I mean, some people say that's the way you're supposed to do it now.
Yeah. So that was kind of
Who did the bass on record? You?
No, our bass player did. He joined the band like after we had already started the recording though.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I misunderstood you. My bad.
Yeah. He came in after everything was pretty much written and done, and just he has to come in and put his stamp on it, but that's a kind of a weird backwards.
So you didn't do any music, as in like you weren't in any bands, but you were still playing guitar the whole 9 years that you were chilling.
Yeah.
So you weren't like truly
cut off from it. No, and and that's kind of when I took my career at Guitar Center a little bit more seriously, and because when I traveled for Guitar Center, obviously you can't be in a band if you're doing that. You're gone 2-3 weeks at a time, and
right.
I just didn't have time for it either. So it wasn't like but it was definitely a hole in my world that needed to be occupied with something. So
yeah, I feel you, dude.
So that's how Destroy the Planet came about, and I couldn't be happier that I found somebody like Albert, who is just an incredible talent, but also like somebody who motivates you to want to do more and do better and do you know. And so I obviously the music I played in before this band was not as heavy as we are now.
Well, that's definitely probably Al's influence over time.
Absolutely.
You just slowly get a little heavier.
Yeah. And so we just started doing last week he got together with me and we started working on the tempos of the new songs because we want to record the next record. So we have the songs written. There's definitely a theme that anybody who did a review of our record, our first record, that either was written or like a YouTube reaction video or whatever, they all have the same comment, which you have to believe it if everybody's saying it, right? If everybody's saying it, it must be true. That they really like the song "Crawl," and they wish that all of the songs sounded like "Crawl." Where I think on purpose on the first record, I was trying to sound like we could do anything. Like let's put it's all rock, but I mean
it's kind of like a concept. You're going, well, we want to show you. I used to say we want to flex our musical muscles.
Yeah.
Like we want to flex. We need a power ballad. We need. And I'm just making shit up, but I'm just saying, like, oh well, we've got our heavy songs. We need a couple chill songs. We need one like this. We need, because we can do these things. So we got to show people
that we're not one dimensional, right?
Right.
Well, but I really
people like one dimensional when it comes to music.
Yeah,
that's why they tune in, right? Isn't that the fucking battle we? And then, so is "Crawl" one of your favorite songs?
Yeah.
So you have no problem going harder in that direction.
No, and I'll say this too with "Crawl" is I wrote that after Al and I started working on these songs because I was like, I need something that can showcase his drums. And so it's fun to play because it's such a cool, like he gets to do cool stuff and I get to do cool stuff. And our bass player has a really cool lick in the breakdown of that song. So there's a lot of cool stuff going on in that song, but you can tell that Al and I were like, okay, I'm going to show off here, and then you're going to show off here, and then I'm going to show off here. Yeah. And so this next record it's just all "Crawl." We just rewrote "Crawl" 9 times, and I'm super excited for it. I couldn't be happier with how we're gonna do this. But that was the we're gonna be the "Crawl" band. So so you told me to send a link of our music. I sent "Crawl" because that makes
let's
sense.
play it. Let's play it. We queued it up. Let's play the video. You got it ready?
Can I talk about the video real quick?
Yeah. What do you want to?
So the first video we made was for our song "Control," and I hired somebody to record us. We actually got to record that video at Grey Duck Brewery. Right, they let us actually go into they shut down the brewery for the day and let us go in there and shoot a video, and it was very nice of them. But it was expensive to hire somebody for the video. He did a good job, but I was like, man, for as much money as I paid and how much I waited and I had to help do the editing, I should just bought a camera and did it myself. Right. So this "Crawl" video, we shot this ourselves.
Okay, let's check it out.
From that hotel stay though,
Oh,
that
really?
motel stay.
I think I made my fucking my handlebar too thin on this side. I definitely did. I can see it in the camera now. Yeah, I did. I chopped it. Now I gotta get rid of them both and start over. Son of a bitch!
Always a
I
project.
ruined it. Or I gotta let it grow back out and fucking do it right. I got a few weeks before the show. Maybe that's what we'll do. Yeah, I like it, dude. Dude, you're a bitchin' guitar player, man.
Thank you.
How long you been playing guitar?
Since I was 10. So 500 years.
500 years. So what got you into guitar?
We already talked about Guns N' Roses, but it was when Sweet Child of Mine came out.
Okay.
So it was when Guns N' Roses came out, I was like, I'm going to be a lead singer, right? And I was I remember going to a music store and being like, so what kind of things does a lead singer buy? And they're like, well, a microphone and a PA system. And I was like, well, I don't want to do all that just to sing by myself. And they're like, well, most singers play guitar. Why don't you buy a guitar to learn how to, and then so you can write songs. And I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then I've only been in 2 bands where I was the singer. So that's usually not what I go out to.
Okay.
That's not what I seek out. I'd rather play guitar.
Sure.
Yeah.
So other than Slash, obviously, or is Slash not the guy?
No, Slash is definitely the.
Who's your Rushmore? Who's your Mount Rushmore of guitar players?
So it'd be like Slash.
No particular order.
Marty Friedman. I like John Christ. I don't know nobody ever picks him as a favorite guitar
You're
player.
talking from Avenged Sevenfold?
No, from Danzig.
Isn't Johnny Christ also the guy in fucking? Look this up. Isn't Johnny Christ? So John Christ is from Danzig.
Yeah.
And then Johnny Christ is from Avenged Sevenfold. God. Anyway, sorry. Go on.
So I pick another one. Shucks.
Why John Christ from Danzig? Because the other two are pretty obvious.
I think he had a real knack for making a memorable solo in music that you wouldn't think would have it. I think his playing really sticks out.
Okay.
He he was.
Then Johnny Christ. Yeah, it is. Okay, cool. Okay.
But John Christ was replaced by Tommy Victor from Prong. Ended up being in Danzig, and I thought that I thought that the solos weren't as cool, even though I do like Tommy Victor playing as well. And then I guess for my fourth one, I'd put Jerry Cantrell.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? So no Eddie, no Jimmy.
I've never been like a shred guy, and I know I said Marty
shredding pretty hard there.
I know I said Marty Friedman, but I don't think Marty Friedman's like your shred guy. I
wouldn't. He can, but I agree. I wouldn't. No.
I think his stuff,
especially in Megadeth, Dave is the shredder. He's the painter.
Yeah, it's like a thrill ride when he plays a solo, and I wish I could be that good, you know. But yeah, I've been playing guitar since I was 10 years old. I didn't really play lead guitar until my mid-20s.
Really?
I was always the rhythm guy, or my first band I was the singer. So I was even I would even really play guitar, and then people said how bad of a singer I was. So I was like, I better move on. And then I was in a band when I turned 21 years old. I joined a band that was a pretty popular. I don't want to say local band. They were a regional band, pretty popular at the time. And
who was it?
They were again. This goes back to the band name thing. They were called Blackstone Cherry, but not the Southern rock band of the same name. Weird concurrently had two bands with the same name. But I was actually not the lead player in that band, and about 6 months in, the other guitar player quit, and I was like, "Can I play lead?" And they're like, "Sure." So then
you just learned it or faked it until you got it. What?
I just got better. It was just something I never concentrated on, And as somebody who doesn't like to learn other people's songs, I was never one of those guys that sat in his room, and I'm not putting it down, but this guy sat in the room and learned every note for note of their favorite solos. And I was 22 years old when I learned the solo for Crazy Train.
Oh, wow.
Right? I just didn't. It was just never something I wanted.
Is that the first solo you learned?
Note for note, yeah. I probably learned. I think I learned. Welcome to the Jungle solo note for note when I was like 15 because I was just so into it. But,
okay.
But I was never really that guy that would sit, and I hate reading tab, so it wasn't really a thing. I was a drummer as well. Actually, I played drums all through high school.
Wow.
I actually had a scholarship. I was a band kid. I was actually
no shit.
I had 2 hours of band each day. And I was the band's like teacher's aide, so I had 3 hours of band all throughout high school. I was the band treasurer. I was a huge band nerd. I used to go to music camp every summer for drums.
Really?
I had a scholarship for college for drums, but there's nothing I've hated more than playing drums.
Why is that?
I only did it because they wouldn't let me play guitar. However, in my senior year, I played jazz guitar.
No shit.
In jazz band. So.
Well, you must have been pretty good if you got a scholarship.
I'll say that the tricky thing about I'm from a really small town, and I usually there's like one good drummer every 3 years, which works out good for them. Right?
Sure. Yeah.
They don't need to have and so my grade had myself and 2 other drummers, so there was a lot of competition there. So I definitely wasn't as good as those guys. I didn't care. I wasn't as I loved music, and I was passionate about that part of it, but sitting at home playing drums, that wasn't really what I did. But that being said, drums is the only thing I ever took lessons for. I actually took lessons out of the University of North Dakota with their jazz instructor named Mike Blake. I took drum lessons from him for 6 years.
Wow. So you've mentioned Wisconsin. Obviously, you're here, North Dakota. So where are you originally from?
I'm from Roseau, Minnesota.
Roseau.
Right
Where's
on the border.
Roseau?
Right on the border of Canada.
Oh, no shit. Way up there.
Yeah, northwest.
Holy fuck. So that's how you became a Vikings fan then, huh?
Oh yeah.
A lot of Canadian Vikings fans up there.
I'll admit though, I wasn't.
There's like a cutoff where the Packers no longer reign supreme.
I wasn't a Vikings fan. I wasn't a Vikings fan until I'm going to make it sound like a bandwagon guy. I
doubt it.
I wasn't
98.
98, and it wasn't because of our success that year. Randy Moss and I are the same age, and so I was like, I'm going to follow this guy because he's my age.
Really?
Right? And so, obviously...
Did you know anything about football before
Of course, yes. Okay. Yes. I just was more of a casual guy. And then the 98 season, I'm not one of those people that jumped on at the end of the season. I will forever remember Thanksgiving Day, the turkey game. That was... like anything I loved about Randy Moss just exploded that day.
Right.
And so... I'm a huge Randy Moss fan.
Dude, he was electric, man. He was different, dude. Like,
so I have a Randy Moss like shrine at my house.
Oh, really?
And so people who visit my house want to know if I want to wear his skin. No, I think he's a cool guy. Can I tell you a cool Vikingsness with the Destroy the Planet band? Is the first song on our first record is it's called Twisted. And it starts off like it has like a radio announcement, and it's supposed to be like citizens of Earth, like the world's gonna end because aliens are coming, because that's the kind of stuff we write about. I wanted somebody who's actually been on the radio to say that. I didn't want to use my radio voice, which I have a very good one if I talk like this, But,
sure.
So I asked Pete Bursich to do it. So it's Pete Bursich that does that opening. That opening thing on our record, and
Pete's cool as fuck, man.
He is. He loves metal. He's a pretty good guitar player. I was like, I'm gonna get somebody from the Vikings to do this. So we asked him to do it, and he said he would, but then it was like the last day in the studio, and I'm like, he hasn't responded, and so I actually ran into Ben Lieber.
Oh, really?
And I was like, hey, Ben, you want to come and do this? He's like, yeah. And I'm telling you, 15 minutes, they all talk to each other, right? So 15 minutes later, Pete calls and they're like, where do I need to go? I'll be there right now. And so he came in, and I'll tell you that he is not only is he a cool guy and a nice guy, he's like a pro's pro. He came in there and he had, and you can see it, we have some outtakes on our YouTube channel, but he came in and he had learned the script. And actually, the original script was a little bit longer. We were advised to shorten it for time, but he said it in a bunch of different ways. He wanted to first he was saying it like he was the alien, then he kind of said it like he was the president, and it was like he was changing it up. But man, I bet he did 40 different takes, and they were all keepers. He was just doing them slightly different.
Nice.
But he was stoked to be in a studio. Not just doing, where a rock band was recording, and so I just think it's cool for being such a Vikings fan to get a Viking on the record.
That's huge, dude. That's super cool. Yeah, Ezra Tulo probably wouldn't have been the best former Viking to have do that one. That's fucking cool, though, dude.
But yeah,
did you get him to come out to a show?
Not yet. He's a busy dude, and he moved to Chicago now, so he's not around as much.
He's in Chicago now?
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here! I didn't know that.
I do want him to do the similar thing on this next record, though.
You should get him out to a show sometime, dude. That'd be fucking cool as fuck. Next time he's in town.
Yeah, and he was in a band for a while.
With Tony Williams and John Gensmer.
Yep. They were for a while. They were called Heavy Metal Vomit. But
then it just got shortened to Vomit.
No, then they changed it to Fuki, like football and hockey, because Chris Hockey was in the band, and also Mark Parrish was in the band.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about Parrish. Yeah. Terrible band name. No offense, guys.
Oh, I liked it.
Fuki's stupid. No, Vomit was way better. I mean, Vomit's a bad band name too, but it is way better. Fuki's stupid. We're very, very opinionated on band names on this podcast. Like, if you got a great one, I'll blow you. But if it's a stupid one, I'm calling it out. That's fucking dumb. That's why I said Ides of March isn't that bad. That's actually a pretty cool band name. But it's got to be for the right band with the right imagery, the right sound. Like it's got to be a whole thing, because Ides of March is pretty epic, dude.
It
could be.
Here's a funny band name I was in. We were gonna start similar to like this, where it was a 3-piece, and I was gonna.
Sorry guys, no disrespect to the Fouki boys, but yeah, I gotta be honest. I gotta maintain my honest integrity with this one. That's a stupid band name. Sorry, boys.
I was in a band that it was. I was gonna sing in it, but myself and the bass player.
No disrespect.
We're gonna switch off vocals, and I was 19 years old at the time, and the bass player was only 17, and so he was still in high school, and we would have to cut off band practice so he could go. He was in the musical. He was an actor in the small town musical, and the musical they were doing at that time was called The Fantastics.
Really?
And so this is now to date the phrase here. This was in 1996. He would be like, "Hey guys, I gotta go. I gotta go to rehearsal for," and he would say, "The Gay Fantastics." So the name of the band was the Gay Fantastics for a while, which I thought was a good band name. But what's funny is our bass,
definitely funny.
Our drummer at that time was the most burnt out dude. He was an incredible drummer, but most burnt out dude you could ever meet. And he would come to my house at like 4 a.m, and he'd be like, "Hey man, I'm sorry to wake you up, but can I go and listen to some music? I'm gonna like raid your CD collection. I really need some 7/8 in my life." And I'd wake up the next morning for work, and I'd be like, "You still rocking out in there? You find any 7/8?" And you'd be like, "You know what, man? If you smoke enough, everything's 7/8, man." So
that's a great line, dude. That is a great line.
So one day we're in the middle of band practice, right? And he goes, guys, stop playing. And we remember we're a 3-piece, right? So he goes, "Hey, I just came up with our band name. This is what we're gonna stop being the Gay Fantastics. Here's what we're gonna be." He goes, "You know how we're gonna get another guy?" Because I kept saying we were gonna add another 4th member. We didn't want to be a 3-piece. We're gonna get a 4-piece. So we were auditioning other people, and he goes, "So we're eventually gonna get a 4th guy. We're gonna call this band 8 Eyes, because when we get that 4th guy, there's gonna be 8 eyeballs in this band." And so we were called 8 Eyes for a while, and we actually released like a demo record.
How do you spell 8 Eyes?
It was numeral 8 and then eyes, right? Like EOIES.
Okay.
But we actually recorded a demo that we would put on cassette and hand it out to people, and that was just under the band 8.
Okay.
Right, but that's where that came from. We never did have a 4th member, so no, we were just being dishonest with our audience.
It would have been kind of cool if you guys would have done the number 8 and then a lowercase I''S.
Oh yeah,
that would have been kind of cool. It would have been hard to figure out how you say it. People would have been like, "How do I say this?"
They call it 80s.
Yeah. Yep. I bet you they would have. But still, it would have still got people thinking, and you know what I mean. But you could do a lot with that 8 lowercase I''S. You could make that look pretty trippy.
Well, I'm sure it's available, so anybody can just...
Yeah, if you want it, guys, there you go. There's your 80s tribute band, your 80s cover band.
Or tarantulas and spatulas.
You're going to die on that hill, aren't you, Trent?
Yep. Back to the Destroy...
That's your Alamo.
Back to the Destroy the Planet, though, is if you scramble the words like an anagram, you could get the... You could spell out Trent played that if you take Destroy the Planet.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess you could, couldn't you?
So,
wow. That's kind of cool.
I found that out after the fact. So I wasn't, though. I shouldn't be I'm not the originator. A friend of mine pointed that out.
Palindrome?
Anagram. Yeah.
A palindrome is it's the same forward and
backwards.
backwards.
Like Taco Cat.
Yeah. My bad. I'm dumb.
When you're as quick-witted as you can't you can't be 100%.
Yeah, you just got to make shit up. I've maintained for like 15 years that 51% of what I say out loud is purely for my own entertainment and should not be taken seriously, even if it's incredibly offensive. Half the time I'm trying to work out some sort of joke or philosophical thing. Even on a post, people will try to dive in on me and call me. And then once they're hostile, then I'm like, oh, well, fuck y'all. Yeah, it's on, motherfuckers, you know. I tend to overcorrect for hostility. I've been working on it lately. I made that post about J.J. McCarthy needing to work on his footwork. Some people try talking shit.
Man, the internet,
fucking rubes.
The internet it's like being a speaker of a room that you don't know who your audience is. So sometimes it works in your favor, and sometimes it backlashes. And but some of your personality, it's not going to affect you. You know.
I think David Luke nailed me to a cross. Shout out to David LeDuc. I think this motherfucker pegged me without even fucking trying. He goes, "You seem like the energy you're given is the energy you give back kind of guy."
Okay.
So if like somebody approaches me and they're cool, then I'm cool. As soon as somebody becomes hostile, I'm hostile as fuck, bro. And and he's right. I was like, God damn, I think that might be the most accurate short statement ever made about me. Because I'm not a dick. I can be a dick. If people are being a dick to me, then I'll be the bigger dick. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to be a dick, but like it went there. So then I was like, all right, I guess this is what we're doing then. But I don't just like randomly start off as a dick. You know, like that's just such an absurd thing.
Yeah, there's a pathway to get there.
Exactly.
Yeah, it doesn't happen before the credits roll here. I feel like I have a persona too that I feel like
as a super nice guy.
Oh, I think
it's a different burden you fucking.
No, I think that when I hear people say things about myself, I think that it's extreme one way or the other. I've heard that, man, that guy's such a jerk, and I'm not a jerk. But I've also heard like that guy, he'll loan you money. I'm not gonna do that either. So like
I've never heard a negative word about you.
Oh, thanks, man.
Well, technically, you should thank other people. Technically, you shouldn't thank me. I'm just relaying the information. They're the ones who've never said anything negative about you. That's got to be a skill. It can't just be the personality. You also have to have like good social skills and know when to keep your mouth shut, which I lack. I'll fucking start chirping when I should shut the fuck up.
I'll tell you what. Actually, I was confronted at the last show we played.
You were kind of what?
I was confronted at
my bad.
At the last show we played, because one of the band members of another, from another band was like, "Man, because I like to. I'm not trying to. This is like when people give to charity and then they tell about it. I'm not trying to do that. But if you've ever been in a show, if you played a show with us, you know that I like to help everybody get their stuff off the stage because it sucks to have to do it on your own in front of your fans.
In this town, that's etiquette.
Yeah. And
help other bands get off stage.
Yeah, and I really like to do that, but I had somebody confront me and go, why would you do that?
Well, in this town, it's an unwritten rule. So if this happened in this town, then that person's in the wrong. Just by you simply asking the question, you're already in the wrong. Was this in this town?
Yes.
Yeah, well, then that person's stupid, just to begin with.
So I was like...
here I go again.
So I was like, I enjoy.
Why would you do that? You're stupid.
I don't want to sound like I'm somebody who like does everything so that people think nicely about me. But it is important to me. When people it
feels good.
When I play a show, I want people to be like, man, those Destroy the Planet guys were cool.
Yeah.
That's it. That is important. And I know people that like you shouldn't care what other people think. No, you should.
In the industry, you have to care about what people think.
But even if I wasn't, like I like to hold the door open for people. Again, I'm not patting myself on the back here. You should do what's right, and that's I mean, not saying I don't have bad days, but that's important to me.
Yeah.
I do actively when I'm talking to somebody try to think of something that will compliment them. It's just a nice thing to do, and also I feel like when you're talking to somebody like you and I are, it's nice to make sure that person knows that they matter. Right.
Sure.
That I don't have to say like, man, that mustache is perfectly equal.
It's definitely not. It was.
I'm not going to make stuff up, but I actively listen to find things that are common interest and that we can speak to, and that you'll feel good about our conversation and feel good about meeting me. That's important, and I feel like more people should be that way. right? I mean, I'll tell you, you're talking about living in Wisconsin. My first Monday living in Wisconsin in 2005, 4, wherever that was, there was somebody pulled over on the side of the road with their hood up. And this is 2004. I had a cell phone, but that wasn't like everybody had a cell phone then. So I don't know anything about cars. So I was not really going to help. But I pulled over and said, "Hey, man, I don't know anything about cars, but do we're not very far from a gas station. Do you want me to give you a ride? Or do you want to use my phone and call like a tow truck or something? Or call like a friend that can come and fix your truck?" And the guy was like, "What do you want from me?" And being from a small town, I had no idea that was a possible reaction to that. and that was in Appleton, Wisconsin. Now I live in the Minneapolis, Twin Cities here.
You would never do that because it could be a trap.
Yeah.
It's a trap.
Yeah, you're going to end up in a basement with duct tape.
Do not pull over to help somebody in the cities. You can still do that shit in like suburban Minnesota, but not in Minneapolis, St. Paul. It literally might be a trap. Like it's that's not even a paranoid way of thinking. That's like common sense survival skills in the city now.
Yeah,
he probably wasn't from that area either. Then he was probably from Chicago or something, right?
Well, I have friends in Wisconsin, so I don't like to be too negative about them. But the thing about Wisconsin is that if it's past 12 a.m., everybody there's drunk. So you might be hitting somebody who's an angry drunk.
Sure. You ever seen that map of
the
drinking?
Yeah.
It's all Wisconsin. Like it's shaded in. See if you can find this density map of American drinkers. That's what I would type in, and then go to images, and it's like by county or something like that. Density map of alcohol consumption by county or something like that. Yeah, there it is. Number 1. Look at this. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Make it go big on the screen. Yeah. Click that again. No. Just go to the link. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Fucking, it's all Wisconsin, dude, and northern Minnesota. And I think what it actually is, how they did this, I think, if I remember right, it's this one says excessive drinking by county.
Oh yeah, and you can actually, my county that I grew up in is not the darkest blue. Here, I'm gonna.
In Minnesota, it's not the darkest blue.
Yep. He's got it. He's got it right on there. That's my home. That's my home area.
That's pretty dark, though, bro. That's pretty dark. No, but what I think is funny though is there's another map that shows like it's the same type of map, and it's bars per church.
Yep.
And Wisconsin is also the same, like the most dense. Like for every one church, they have 4 bars or shit like that, or 6 bars.
Yeah, my town knows how to drink. My county knows how to drink. But I'll say that nobody really gets a DUI up there. Because when you pull up to a bar in my hometown, it's all 4-wheelers in the summer and snowmobiles.
Which legally you can still get one, but nobody does if you're not on the roads.
How are you going to get one?
There, exactly.
The cops aren't gonna chase you.
There's not enough
field.
cops, right? You've got 2 cops. You've got a sheriff and a deputy at any one given point, or 2 deputies or 3 deputies. They're in vehicles patrolling the roads.
Yeah, they're
hanging on to accidents. Usually, fucking somebody hit a deer. Or a drunk driver ran off the road. So, they're not on snowmobiles or 4-wheelers in the back country worrying about your fucking ass.
Yeah.
Up there, DUI culture is don't drive on the road. That's kind of what DUI culture is up there. Don't drive on the road. You can dirt bike, 4-wheel, snowmobile. Don't go on the road.
Yeah, it's kind of fun to show you a map where my hometown is. The closest city to my hometown was Winnipeg.
Wow, that's crazy. So were you more of a Jets fan then?
No.
For hockey?
No.
North Stars all day?
No,
North Stars all day.
For sure. Because Neil Broughton and his brothers are from my hometown.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. Yeah, his...
Actually, you know what? Oslo. Is that what it is? Oslo? That's
no, Roseau.
Roseau. I thought it was Oslo. Probably some other town in Minnesota.
There's a town up there called Oslo.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. And I bet you there's a bunch of hockey players came from that fucking town.
Oh
too.
yeah, like the hockey
Roseau.
The amount of hockey players that go pro in our town has to be the highest percentage of anywhere, right?
Minnesota has this, and I've never been able to Google this and find this again, but I read this in a legitimate news article, like written in the Star Tribune, right? So they did their fact checking because this is old school written. If you measure, I don't remember how they did this graph, but basically they took I think you would call it almost not a heat map, but it's like where they take it's all these like almost when you see like airline maps where they show all the flights that go into a city. Okay, they took every NHL player in world history and measured every stop they ever played in their entire career. And between coming from here, playing not high school, but like juniors, when you go down to like Shattuck St. Marie or whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah.
Like all those like special hockey schools. And then college in the 4 fucking colleges we have here. And then the pros. Or no, they didn't include the pros. That was the point.
Like IHL and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, Minnesota touches more hockey players than anywhere else in the world, and it was by a mile. It looks like we were the only airport in the world, basically. Like, yeah, people bounce around and do all these other things, and there's a couple other, what look like you do a layover here, but like everybody eventually comes to Minnesota for something at some point in time. And the names that he had in this list, and this I think was the year Sidney Crosby got drafted, who played, I think, prep hockey here or something like that, or juniors or something down here. I think he played. Did he play? Look this up. Sidney Crosby, was he on the same hockey team as Zach Parise? I think this is true. I think they played like high school prep, and I think it was down at like, is it called Shattuck St. Marie or something like that, or Shattuck St. Mary?
That I don't know. But I'm from a hockey.
Crazy.
I'm from a hockey town, and I know a considerable amount about hockey. But I only played hockey until 2nd grade. I was not very good at it.
Now type in Zach Parise, Sidney Crosby. No, at the same time. Zach Parise. Yep, ISE. Yep. Just enter, yeah.
Team USA.
Shattuck St. Mary's, prep school. And that's down in southern Minnesota, I believe. Yeah. So I knew I wasn't making this up. Yeah, so like the crazy amount of like not just guys that made it to the league, but dope players. Like this motherfucker came and played prep high school hockey here in Minnesota. Sidney Crosby, one of the GOATs, one of the greatest hockey players of all time. And it's just uncanny. So yeah, and then we have towns like yours. Oslo,
where the three Broughton brothers, and then there was actually on the Miracle on Ice team. It wasn't just Neil Broughton from our hometown, but the 2 Ross brothers, Gary and Don.
Oh yeah.
And then I went to high school with Dustin Bufflin. I didn't really know him, but Dustin Bufflin ended up on the Jets. He won a Stanley Cup with the Blackhawks. He was 2 years younger than me in high school, so 2 grades below me.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy how many hockey players come from this place.
I'll show you a thing.
Good ones too.
If I wrinkle my lip, okay, you're gonna see there's a little thing here.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah. So in my hometown, you actually skate in gym class, right?
Sure.
Because everybody does, right?
Yeah, you're born on skates, we say.
So, but you don't play hockey in gym class. You play a game. It's a Canadian game called ringette. Okay, it's just like hockey, except for instead of a puck, you have this metal ring. It's like a 6-inch ring with fabric around it, and then you're using a hockey stick that's had its blade cut off, so it's just a stick, right? And so you got extra credit in gym class if you scored a goal in ringette. And this was the last day of school in 9th grade before Christmas break, right? And I went and took the ring from the kid that had the ring so I could get my extra credit. And I was not a strong skater, but he was the only person in our whole town that could not skate. Probably the only person in the county that couldn't skate. So he was using his skate to hold himself up.
His
right?
stick, you mean?
Yeah. Sorry, thank you. And when I took the ring, his stick came up and it whacked me in the face, and my teeth went through my lip.
Oh yeah.
And the arena at that time, there's a new arena now, but at that time the arena was a mile from the school, so they had me run back to the school and go to the nurse and show her what happened. By the time I got there, it cauterized.
Up, yeah.
Because I ran out in the cold, it cauterized, so I couldn't get its stitches. That's why I have a scar. But what's fun about that is not only do our Christmas pictures, our family Christmas pictures, look terrible that year because my entire face is like green, like a bruise, but also I went to the high school game that night, the varsity game that night, and bragged to everybody that was my blood on that ice because he only had one rink, right? I mean, so but that my town my town plays ringette. In gym class, if I had,
dude, scars were a thing of pride. It showed you were tough.
Or for me, it shows I'm a klutz. So I have many, many, many scars.
Here's the thing, though. No one needs to know exactly how you got the scar, right? Now that we're adults, we can admit all the silly little reasons we got them. But when you're, a young man, you could tell anybody any story how you got that scar. You're the only one that knows it was from being, and actually it wasn't even you being a klutz. It was this other kid being a klutz.
Yeah.
It was an accident,
But there was a motivation there that I didn't need to put anybody or myself in danger.
It's called being a competitor, bro. Yeah. Somebody gave you an incentive and you went and got it like a true American.
And I paid for it.
Like a true American. I bet you if you were born about 15 miles north into Canada there, I bet you wouldn't have done it. You'd have been a good Canadian nice boy. But right now, nope, you're a good American. You tried to go for that goal, you suffered a busted. Did you score the goal?
No, I was in the
mid-ice.
Now you're a loser. Yeah, mid-ice.
Get out! Deported!
Mid-ice.
We don't have any more room for losers in this country, Trent. I'm sorry, buddy. If you'd have scored the goal, I'd get you the fucking medal, dude. No, I'm kidding, dude. No, those kind of things are fucking commonplace, dude, when you're a kid, dude. All those dumbass decisions. Trying to go a little hard in gym class, trying to get the grade, or trying to impress somebody. I was trying to impress the chicks, trying to show how athletic I was, trying to dunk on people, not literally because I could never dunk, but metaphorically. What is that? What it keeps fucking dimming those lights? Do you see that?
Yeah, I thought I was having a cataract.
No, I bet you it's the air conditioning kicking on and off. We're using a lot of juice these days.
Yeah.
So other than our show, what else you guys got coming up? You got the album coming out?
That's priority.
You're recording right now?
Priority one, is getting that going. That's that. I would love to have a record put out like the beginning of the year.
Beginning of the year?
Yep. That's definitely priority one. I'll say, if you would have talked to me a year ago, I would tell you we would take every single show that was ever offered to us, regardless if it was.
You can't do that anymore.
You can't, and it's got to be a little bit on purpose, and at
least in town, right?
Yeah.
If you want to play a lot of shows, fine, but you can't play Minneapolis more than like 4 times a year anymore. Well, unless it's your first year as a band, like what we just did. We just did like 6 shows, 7 shows in our first year, something like that. That's a little different because you're just getting out there. You're working out the kinks. You're trying to get your name out there. That's a little different. But once you got the machine humming, no pun intended, about 4 times a year per town. So then just do the math. If you want to play every weekend, figure out how to get into 52 different. Yeah. Well, not 52, but what would that be? That'd be like 13 different towns.
Oh, yeah. So to divide it by how, yeah.
Yeah, if you try to play every town 4 times a year, it'd be like 13 towns, right?
Yeah, and you can oversaturate yourself quickly, and also it's not just the saturation. It's just as we were talking about before we started here, is that if all of you're doing is pulling in the exact same fans every week, I mean, are you going to develop enough material to make that exciting for those people,
no,
or
you're going to burn them out?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the other stressed out part, right? Is you got to keep putting out relevant material. So now how the kids do it, and I'm kind of buying into this, you don't drop the whole album anymore. You drop a single every 45, you record the album, but you drop a single every 45 days with some sort of video element, just like what you guys did. And it could be way simpler than that, because you can't do that every single time. So maybe you have like a lyric video. Maybe this one's chopped up of your live performance, right? So you do that every 45 days. And the nice thing about that is you're slow dripping the content out there, which buys you a whole bunch of time to record and make new content, right? So
I was just having a conversation.
They're on to something.
I fully 100% agree with it, but this is just like you changing your religion at this point in your life. That's just not how I was raised.
Yeah,
it has to be an
album. And you don't have to do the whole album. What you can do is you can do half the album. Say you got 12 tracks, right? There's versions of this. This isn't the gospel, right? So, to stay on the changing your religion analogy, this isn't the gospel. But this is like kind of what seems to work the best. So you could do like 6 songs in that 45-day thing, then drop the rest of the album. It's still an album. It still shows up as one album online. It's still that thing, but it's how you lead up to the build-up. And honestly, way back in the day, they used to do this anyways. They used to drop a single or two or 3 before they actually release the album. We're doing the exact same thing. It's just on a schedule. Right, so that way you're also posting content on Instagram and YouTube and shit, right?
Well, the band that was telling me about this, they have it down. They truly have it down. I can't even. They're so successful with it that I can't even disagree with their logic. What it is they recorded their album, but they're just releasing one song at a time.
That's what I'm saying,
right? Yeah. And on Apple, on iTunes or whatever, it's just building the album. It's just filling that out.
That's
right?
exactly what I'm talking about.
And then you're just pretty much prepaying, right? You can buy the one song you just heard, or you can prepay for the album. It's super intelligent.
Unless you're a subscriber like me, and then you just follow the artist and pre-save it, and then as it comes out, I just get it. And you still get paid for that too as the artist. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm describing. And then as you drop each single, what you do is you have some sort of video element, so a lyric video or the video you made. And then leading up to that single release and 2 weeks after the single release, what you do is you chop up that video into 9-second clips for TikTok, 13-second clips for Instagram stories, 30-second clips for Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts, and then you have the full video that drops on YouTube the day your single drops. And the whole thing is to build up hype for pre-sales. Yeah. So when your single drops, there's already momentum on it. That's how you get on these playlists, apparently. And then from there, you continue to push it for 2 more weeks until your next song promo starts off. And it's a 45-day cycle. So I love this idea because it's a direct formula you just follow, an actual recipe. So just like literally start putting things on your calendar. We shoot a video, fucking blah, 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 blah. We edit up that video, and you just go through this process. And then while that's happening, you go to rehearsal, you play shows, you record new music, and you do an album exactly. If you want to do an album, because the pop stars seem to just do singles at first. Yeah. We want to do an album. So we recorded 12 songs together all at once. It's a concept, it's a story, whatever, right? We get very pretentious with this shit. I don't think there has to be a compromise. I think it has to be more of a hybrid.
Yeah.
Taking what we also know works, because that's what got us into it, and figuring out a way to make that happen. Because the young generation, like Will's age, he's 21, and my brother, 24, 25, they're burnt out on the same things we're burnt out on when it comes to the YouTube and the Instagram and all that shit. They want to go tactile. They want to, like, go to concerts and, like, listen to good music on good speakers. And so I think things are starting to come back full circle. And so we just got to figure out a way to bring in the things that work, get rid of the bullshit. Bring in the things that work, get rid of the bullshit, you know? That's at least my dumbed down version of it, because I don't really, I haven't been through it enough to really actually say I know what I'm talking about. But I've had enough of these conversations with, like you said, bands that are like, they're so successful at it, you can't argue with it.
Yeah.
So you just, okay, they did it, they did it, they did it. What is the 3 things they're all doing? let's take those 3 things and implement those. And what are they're doing it this way, they're doing it that way, they're doing it this other way. And we don't know which one. Do we like one of them? Okay, let's take that 4th idea. We like that one. We don't know if it works, but and then what do we want for our own spin on it? There's our 5th idea. Now we got a full plate. Now we can actually move forward. And then you got to do your own beta testing. So then you got to do that cycle 2, 3, 4 times and figure out what worked and what didn't work for you and your sound and your audience. It's like fucking crazy, dude.
Well, I have a.
That's why it's called the music business.
I have a.
I know how pretentious that sounds. I'm sorry, you guys.
I have even a weirder method for that would work for a band, right? This isn't fully baked, so bear with me on this, right?
Okay.
But okay, let's just use my band. Why not? We'll use my band as an example. Like, I'm from a town, like we just talked about. I'm from a very small town, right? 2,300 people, probably less now. If those 2,300 people would love to know somebody who was in a band that is experiencing some success. People like that, right? Albert from a medium-sized town, right? 26,000 people. Now, wouldn't they love that too? Like they can be, everybody likes to be in on the game before it got, the ones who saw the movie before when it came out, right?
Sure, yeah.
So what if everybody in my hometown or in Albert's hometown listened to our record once, right? Pick once a month. We would be a B tier viral band if just those people from those 2 towns only listen to us, not even because they like us or they like us as people or like the music. Listen to us because we're from your town. So I think the same thing when I post something or somebody else. I don't know how to put it all on me. If I see a friend of mine post something and that friend has 700 friends on Facebook, and I'm not talking about their followers or their band. They have 700 friends on Facebook and they don't get 700 likes. Wow, those are pretty crappy friends.
That's not how that works, though. The algorithm feeds you shit you're typically going to interact with.
Yes.
Right? So and it knows me based on other things I interact with. So if I am a 40-year-old white male, right, and I typically interact with Viking stuff, food stuff.
Sure, you might miss it.
Construction stuff. No, literally, like, if I interact with other stuff, rock music, heavy metal music, and then I've got this black kid over here who I'm friends with, and he posts a thing for a hip-hop show, Facebook knows that I don't interact with hip-hop content. It's not likely that I'm going to comment or engage, so it won't even show up on my feed. It just will not be there.
Fair enough.
That is literally how all of the algorithms work, though.
Fair enough. Yeah, and I know that because I used to see what people posted until I started doing this band stuff, and then I don't even see people's birthdays anymore.
Dude, sometimes, brother, I will see your guys' stuff, and I'm not talking about you specifically. I'm talking about everybody in my life. Sometimes I will see your stuff for a show 10 days after it happened.
Yes.
And I'm like, why is this just now popping up on my feed? Well, here's the reason why. Enough people who've commented on that post have now ticked a box that says, these people have interacted with this post. This is probably a post Jared would interact with. They don't realize the algorithm doesn't think, it calculates, right? So once a certain number of boxes have been checked, then it shows up in my feed, regardless of when this thing was posted. So that's honestly
sure.
like.
But I guess what I'm saying is the network that we're all searching for, we might already have it, and that's all I'm saying. Like what, like when
But how do you connect with those people?
Well, I'm saying like when I see somebody, like I have a friend on Facebook who runs a hair salon. Every time she posts a sale, I like it.
That's why it's still in your feed, though.
But why not? Why not support somebody else's business? I'm not.
I don't know why you wouldn't.
Yeah, and so what I say, like any of the bands that we've played with in the past, that I like everything. I mean, I genuinely do, but I go out of my way to make sure I like your stuff. I want to follow your stuff because I want to support my friends, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so that's all I'm saying.
I think most of us do.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying is that the algorithm does not lend itself to that, especially when you're trying to like just to stay true to the analogy, which is like, if I'm from a town of 26,000 people, that's a small town who we all know that culture. They all want to support their local heroes, right? So if you could somehow get the word out to, and you could do this, dude, you could actually do this. If you spent the money, you bought an ad in the local 26,000 person newspaper, you went and bought mailers and stuck them in everybody's mailbox, right? Or you somehow dropped them off to the local place that does the newspaper delivery, right? So now you got a mailer in there. You could actually pull that off, but you'd have to somehow like market that, like, hey, hometown hero Trent Dutcher has a new record being released, blah, 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 trending on Spotify. Yeah, people are going to be like, oh, cool. Yeah, support your local music. People are going to be like, hell yeah. But you got to spend the money to get that information to those people
Certainly.
in that spot. And I think that's the disconnect, brother. I think that's what nobody actually does. Everybody, and I'm speaking a little hyperbolically here when I generalize by saying everybody and nobody. I'm obviously...
Well, we're just real quick, and I'm not really specifically saying that about us. Like,
I'm speaking generally.
And I think that, like, especially my hometown has been very, very supportive of what we do, and that's not what what I'm talking about is like there's.
No, but you're right though. Let's stay with the analogy. You're right. If you could get your hometown of 20 or Al's hometown of 26,000 people to all listen to your fucking song the night it launched on Spotify, and you from day one have 26,000 listens. That would immediately do huge things for you in these playlists,
So,
right?
There's a friend of mine.
Great idea.
A friend of mine.
How?
Well, there's a friend of mine's band, who they're a very good band, but when you look on they have like 326 followers, yet they're like the only band in their town that they're from, right? I mean, it's just like I think some of these bands are just missing the boat. Like you don't need to worry about universal advertising to the world.
Sometimes, dude, it's also they just don't like your band. Right?
Sure,
like my mom.
sure.
My mom will never really like any band I'm ever in, and I'll tell you why. We hit the cymbals too much. She likes Fleetwood Mac, where there's barely any cymbals, and when they are, they're those really dry in the background cymbals. So she can't. It's too much banging, she says. It's just too much for her. So you're never
No, of course.
You, any band like us, dude. We're fucked. My mom, so there's one out of 26,000. My grandma, there's two. My grandpa, you see what I'm saying? So I can go down the line and just, our style of music immediately niches us now. Because we're not doing pop music. We're not doing booty shaking, ass licking. It's a thing, dude.
Well, I'll tell you.
It's a game we play.
What's really funny is that,
you know what I'm saying, though.
So 3 weeks ago, I went back to my hometown for a class reunion. And my sister came to visit. And she had texted me before I left and said, hey, can you bring me a CD? I want to make sure I get a CD. Right? Yeah. And so I bring her a disc and I hand it to her. She's like, no, I meant your old band. And I was like, why would you want to listen to that? She's like,
because I liked it.
She was like, that's the good music.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, the music I'm doing now is the good music.
No, she's into the old shit.
She was like, listen, let me be honest with you. She was, I feel like people aren't honest with you enough.
Yep.
Nobody understands what the hell you're trying to do. And I said, what do you mean? She goes, it sounds like you're trying to be a pop band and a metal band at the same time. I'm like, it's exactly it. Yep. That's exactly what we're trying to do. Yep. We're trying to be like
and she ain't vibing with it, bro.
And I'm like, we call ourselves pop metal. And she's like, yeah, nobody gets it. It's terrible. You should go back to playing that stuff you did with your old band. And I was like, okay, I've never met somebody who's nailed it that perfectly on the head, but it is wrong.
She may not be right. Yeah, exactly. Right. She may not be right, but at least she's one of those few. Because she's right, by the way. Most musicians are surrounded by yes men.
Yeah.
And the more successful you get, the less willing people are to tell you you're wrong. And that's again why I think a lot of people think I'm a dick, because like I'm friends with a lot of successful people. And it's funny because once you reach a certain level, you're no longer a dick. You're just a good friend. Like, thank you, man. Fuck. But there's a certain level where if you fucking disagree with anybody on anything, it's like you said, how dare you? Yeah. When you just tried to help this dude with his gear off the stage, like, why would you do that? Like, dude, get out of here, dude. You know what I say those people have? Their ego's too small, right? So because ego just means sense of self, right?
Yeah.
So if you have too big of an ego, you're cocky and arrogant, right? I get accused of that a lot. I'm very confident. I got a big personality. I get it. I got plenty to work on. But I think what's actually significantly more dangerous is a guy who goes past healthy with a humble ego and goes down to a really small, insecure ego, because those people start doing the, I'm going to plot behind your back, you know, like oh, you're going to go hang out with that guy. Oh, let me warn you beforehand, you know, because I don't want you to get too close to that
Yeah, let me
guy.
bias your opinion.
Yeah, like that's actually too small of an ego, right? You get really insecure about things. So you don't have any sense of self. You don't have any confidence in what you're doing, that everything is going to be taken from you. Those are the guys who are always a victim. They're always getting fucked over. Oh, that guy screwed me over. That guy screwed me over. Oh, that guy screwed. You know what I mean? We all have a couple of those guys. It's because their ego is so small that they can't just be, right? And that happens in music a lot. And that's that guy. Why would you do that? Why would you grab my gear? Like, dude, nobody's stealing your gear. Nobody's trying to fucking say you're not moving fast enough. We're trying to help, dude. This is part of the culture. Chill the fuck out, because now you're getting offended and causing a problem where there literally isn't one. And that's what too small of an ego will create. Those are the guys that create problems. Does that make sense? Are you following me?
Of course. And I also, and I'm not trying to, if anybody had
Those are small ego guys.
If anybody had a recent conversation with me, I'm not pointing this out. This has been something I've been thinking of for 20 plus years. But man, you know, one of the weirdest things in the music industry is these guys who cannot say a nice thing about anybody else. Like, man, nobody's going to think less of you if you just said, you know what, I went and saw this band and they were cool.
Yeah.
Right? Like, why does everything have to be like, yeah, we're playing a show with these guys this weekend, dude. Their bass players, you know, it's everything has to be like let me get a load of this. Let me tell you about a bad thing they did 17 years ago that I still tell anybody who will listen.
It's so insidious
it's
and like
campaigning.
It's so insidious and it's so corrosive, because it's like, dude, like, yeah, people make mistakes all the time. And that's one of my favorite things is when people try to talk shit. I'll hear like this guy, he'll be talking shit about this guy. And I'm trying to stay vague, but like I'll try to be specific so it doesn't sound like I'm completely making it. But it'll be like, oh, that guy is fucking, I don't know, he's like fucking, he's got a bad temper and he's toxic, right? And I was like, yeah, so do you, bro. Like, you're literally just describing yourself. I was just talking to Kyle Glidden about this the other day. We were talking about two people, you know, and what they were saying about each other mirrored themselves.
Yeah.
And it was just like, dude, and Kyle and I were giggling about it because I was like,
the thing
that's
you don't...
also you.
Yeah,
stop, dude. We all, dude, we're all musicians.
Yeah.
We're all fucked up, right? Like, most of us are soft narcissists at best, right? Seriously, like, most of us are pretty harmless, but we're all a little narcissistic, right? It's just kind of something that happens with being a musician, right? That's why you think you're good enough to go out there and ask people to buy or download your music, right?
Yeah.
That's a little narcissistic, right? It really is. It doesn't mean it's dangerous or toxic. It's just, it's part of the thing, right?
Yeah.
We're also all a little emotionally damaged. That's how we're creative when we come up with all this. And the other half of us are fucking autistic, dude. So, like, none of us are fucking perfect people. Like, we're all super flawed. But you're so right. Like, we'll sit here behind the scenes and talk shit about each other as if we don't have those same fucking flaws that we're talking shit about somebody else with. Like, it just blows my mind, dude. It just completely blows my mind.
There's a couple people in my circle that that will call me on a Sunday afternoon to tell me about the band that was so terrible the night before.
I might do that if it's egregious. If it's egregious, I might call you, bro.
But every
Trent, I gotta tell you, dog. This band, like, the singer sound checked for 2 hours.
we're like, look, dude, do you know the bass player for this band? 'Cause let me tell you, you know. And I say, like, I just every Sunday I say, have you ever said anything nice about anybody? Because if it can't be that everybody's the worst and everybody's the awfulest in the world other than you. That's not possible.
Yeah.
You know, and so I would worry.
I try to be really honest about that, by the way. Like, when I say somebody's great, I try to make sure, and I think this came from the podcast more than anything else. So if I say somebody's dope as fuck, I genuinely believe they're dope as fuck. And then somebody goes, oh yeah, what do you think about them? I'm like, yeah, they're cool. They're good. You know,
Yeah,
I'm not gonna build them up.
Yep.
So then people would go, man,
Overshoot.
this Jared guy just all he does is say every band is great. I don't ever want to be that guy
Because
it becomes disingenuous. Yeah, and then I don't have any credibility when I'm trying to tell somebody, yeah, this band is good. Go check them out. I think you'll like them. You can't say that with every band. You got to be honest. Somebody's like, hey, what do you think of this band? I was thinking about going out tonight. Like, yeah, they're all right. You know, like they got, you know, I'll be honest. I'll be like, they got a couple things to work on. You know, like maybe some better gear, tighten some shit up. You know, the drummer's a little sloppy, but their style of music is right up your alley. You know, and you might love them. You might get on the ground floor, and 2 years from now they make those adjustments and they blow up. Well, and they're like, cool, okay, yeah, I'm going to go check them out. So even just in that honest assessment, I'm just not setting them up for failure. I'm not setting the band up for failure, and I'm not setting that person up for disappointment. I'm not going to talk you up if you're mid. I'm going to be like, they're mid, you know, like they have potential, you know, but they're mid, you know. It's just what it is. And I try to not ever talk shit about bands on the podcast,
of course,
especially after that Adam B podcast. But Jesus Christ!
But it's and how anti.
But I'm not going to bullshit people either.
How anti-community is it to tear each other down, right? So
well, that's the other thing too. Is like even if a band is not very good, you know, I'm not going to be like they suck.
You shouldn't waste your time talking about it.
I'm just going to be like, you know, they're fucking. I'll talk about the things they do well, or the things they have going for them.
Yeah, the potential.
Like the singer's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, like I try to find something good. Like, no, great front man. No. Like, oh, what do you think of band X? I'm like, oh, is Al coming, by the way?
I texted him. I don't know if my first text failed.
Let me see if I can get out. Because you said he might get here around 8 if he's coming.
Yeah.
We still got.
Can I?
You got to use the bathroom?
Yes.
Dude, let's play another song real quick.
Okay.
You got one more video, right?
I put our ballad on there, which is also a homemade video where we actually made the costumes ourselves, and it's my wife in one of the costumes, and it's Albert in the other costume.
What's the worst that can happen? When challenge takes their soul, hell is taking control. Lost in the balance, and we need to get out of that. Just continue on through, keep ourselves together.
Me, no, I'm not smart enough for that.
I think you'd be great at it.
That takes like math and.
No, I disagree, dude. I think you'd be great at it, and here's why. Because you understand from managing at a Guitar Center, and I don't care if you did it for 10 months, 15 months, 25 months total between the two stores. You worked there long enough, right? You worked there long enough to understand profit margins, profit loss, sales techniques, like what sells, what doesn't sell, how to build the display.
Yeah.
There's so many important, packaging, like there's so, and I see it in what your band is doing.
Oh, thank
right?
you.
I think you would actually be great at it because, like, you joke about you're trying to be false humble. I don't like it. It involves math, dude. You ran a store. Don't pretend you don't know how to do math, dude. Get out of here.
No, and you
ran Edina for a little bit of time. You know how much?
Like 8 years.
Dude,
yeah.
there's like $1 million worth of guitar inventory there, or some shit like that.
1.4 million in guitars.
It's one of the best resume bulletins I have. Managed one. I think it was only 1.1, but I just say over $1 million. Over $1 million worth of guitar inventory because we were also dope at managing shrink.
I was just doing
great resume.
I was just looking at my resume, and I one of the things I actually total. I don't like talking about Guitar Center.
Dude, how unbelievable is that that's $1 million worth of guitar inventory though?
I'll say in 2015 I totaled up how many people I've trained. Right?
How many?
It was over 1,700. So
that actually sounds low.
So then you combine all
low.
All the people that came through Edina and Bloomington in the next 8 years after that. I've trained a lot of people. And
so 1,700 was before you entered Bloomington and Edina. That makes a little bit more sense. Yeah.
And so I
would have said 3,500 is what I would have guessed.
I meant like where I personally did the.
I would have guessed 3,500, even though you were in small towns. I still would have guessed 3,500 just because of turnover.
Well, no, and I wasn't even talking about the people that were my direct reports. I'm talking about when I was on the training team. I would go to. I visited.
Then it has to be way more than 1,700.
But like when I would train like new stores, right? So 15, 20 people right out just in one shot, right
it
there.
has to be way more than 1,700, dude. That number has to be low. It's got to be closer to 35.
That's my big number on my resume is that I've trained like 2,100 people total.
See, now it's 2,100.
No, I said so. It was 1,700 before I got to.
Yeah. Fair enough. Fair
enough. But when I did at Guitar Center, it was nothing like managing a band. I wasn't.
I don't know, dude. I don't know. I disagree because Guitar Center employees are all musicians. So it's like managing the largest band of all time.
I wasn't. I don't really consider myself a great. I don't like to say the word manager. I wasn't a great director of people. I don't think I was ever.
So you're not great at giving orders.
I don't know. I would say that what I brought to the table was that I'm very easily excitable. Right, and I can get excited about an idea, and I think that can be infectious to other people. But I just had this conversation like 3 weeks ago about somebody from Guitar. I still talk to Guitar Center people, of course. I worked there for 16 years. You don't meet that many. You don't meet 2,000 people and never talk to them again, right?
Of course.
So I had somebody from another store complaining about their boss, right? And they're like, he's not a good manager like you were. And I'm like, I wasn't a good manager either. I mean, there was people on our team that I could not get them to do the things that we needed to do as an initiative as the company, and those are the things that I look back on now and think that what could I have done better? And I don't know. I didn't have that bone in my body to make that happen. But the things that made me successful with that company was essentially the same thing. It was on every level. What made me as successful as a salesperson was that I got excited, and so I got. I always said that working at Guitar Center is not the first music store I worked at. I worked at another music store called Electric City Music in Kakana, Wisconsin. It was a boutique shop, and what I learned immediately that I was good at is I'm really good at going to somebody else's birthday party. I'm good at where it's not about me. I can be happy for somebody else.
Right.
I can listen to somebody tell me about how cool this guitar is going to be and how cool their music's going to be because they own it.
Right.
I can listen to that and get excited for them, and then they give me their credit card or their wallet or whatever it is, right? And so when I became a sales manager and then a store manager, that's my message was like, can you just do that and make a bunch of money? And then also when you do it that way and you're genuine, you go home and you're happy about yourself. You didn't twist somebody's arm into buying something they didn't like because they can just return it tomorrow. And you can just get other people excited. Some people with stronger personalities than mine, I was never going to turn them. I was never going to turn them into happy people that were excited to help the next customer or try to help 5 customers at once. No. Those people that would hide in the bathroom until their shift was over until they could punch out. I was never ever that kind of manager that can convert those people. I could only get excited if you were already excited. Right. I'm gonna like we talked before we started about the coaches that take a quarterback from one level to another.
Yeah,
I could take you from an 84 to a 90. I really could. I couldn't take you from a 70 to a 90.
Sure.
I couldn't. I just
Right.
that wasn't in my wheelhouse. And
so if we stick with the football analogy, you'd be a great college coach because you'd be able to get people excited about the game, doing it the right way, that kind of stuff. But if you were trying to go to the NFL level where it's hyper intensive, fucking X's and O's, and you got to figure out how to take that guy from the practice squad and turn him into Adam Thielen. It's going to be a little tougher for you, is what you're saying.
I don't want to. There were I don't want to shortchange myself, but I also don't want to like keep patting myself on the back. No, I actually did. There was actually a few different cases where I took somebody from the bottom rung all the way to the top.
Right.
But they had to want it. Right. And I wasn't going to be the one that changed their mind. Like
and you did that through getting excited and getting them excited because they were also excitable.
Yeah.
What you weren't going to do is turn the curmudgeon, lazy stoner who doesn't give a fuck.
Never.
Right. So that's what I was getting at, right? And that's where you got to get into the X's and O's and really get into the psychology and break a guy down and figure out what motivates him and then figure out a way to change things to where he suddenly feels that's not your bread and butter. And that's what I meant by the NFL X's and O's analogy, like a PJ Fleck. Yeah. When we talked about football before the podcast, PJ Fleck is an excellent college head coach, especially for the type of program that's Minnesota. PJ Fleck cannot possibly ever bring Ohio State to a national championship. He will never take over for Alabama or LSU and bring them to a college championship because that requires an intensity and an X's and O's and a fucking the diamonds in the rough, and you're doing some wild, crazy shit. You're more of a PJ Fleck than you are a Bill Belichick, basically.
Yeah, and I benefited extremely from the people around me, right?
That also makes sense, not to cut you up, but I just want to finish this thought. That also makes sense, though, with your personality, because you're not a guy who's, like, fully willing to piss somebody off. Because, seriously, to do what we're talking about, sometimes you got to bruise somebody's ego. Sometimes you got to piss them off and motivate them. And this is how fucked up this shit is. This is sales. This is football. Sometimes you got to get a guy so pissed off, he's just trying to prove you wrong. You know, this is that old football shit. Like, my grandma can hit harder than that. No, she can't. You know what I mean? Like, I understand how dumb this sounds, but that's a literal direct analogy. My grandmother hits harder. No, she doesn't. Let me show you how hard I can hit. Boom, gotcha. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't really work anymore, so it's an old, outdated analogy, but it stands. It stands. And you're not really that guy.
Well, I'll
it's
tell
not
you,
your personality type. You're more like encouraging and positive. And
well, I had a guy that back when they had door staff, right? And not only was this, I don't like to call them employees. I call them coworkers because I never really felt like I was above anybody. But not only was he one of the best coworkers I've ever had, he's just one of the best people I've ever met, right? But he was a door guy, and just a backstory for people that don't know what a door guy is. They used to have somebody who would stand at the door to check receipts to make sure that that we sold you everything that you paid for, right? Yeah. And so anyway, he came to me one day and he's like, I have to quit. And I said, what's going on? And he goes, I got my girlfriend pregnant. There's no way I can support a kid working at the door at Guitar Center part-time. And I said, why don't I just make you into the best salesperson that's ever been?
Yeah.
And he was like,
that's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
And he's like,
that's your personality.
Yeah. And he's like, what do I got to do? I'm like, you have to do everything I tell you to, even if it's uncomfortable. As far as like how you approach other people, you have to become an extrovert, right? Even if you're introverted. And that he took notes. He 100% understood the sales philosophy. And I'm not going to say he was a top 25 guy in the company this first month, but he was a top 10 guy in the region that month, first month on the sales floor, right? I promoted him to a management position, within 2 months. We won store of the year that year. I got fortunate that I just happened to run into these people that could be.
You were store manager at the time?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that you're fortunate to run into them. I think birds of a feather flock together, right? So you're going to attract people like you. You're going to, especially if you're already a store manager, you're going to attract coachable people. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So like if I'm in charge, I'm going to hire a bunch of fucking ass kickers. I'm going to hire a bunch of hard asses who learn how to soften their edges. And I don't give a fuck if you got to fake being nice, but you're going to learn how to be professional. But they're going to have a very certain intensity because they got to be able to hang with me. Yeah. I got to be able to coach them. I'm too intense for certain people. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, I don't know if I'd be able to be your boss. And I don't know if you'd be able to be my boss. Because I need that same kick in the ass sometimes. That's why Carson was great for me. Because Carson knew when to pull me aside and be like, dude, fucking knock it off. And I'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? And he'd be like, I'll tell you exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. You know, I'd be like, God damn, shit, you're right. That's what I was talking about Carson earlier. Like, he always was right. He was always right. Like, every time he lectured me, he was right. And so I couldn't argue with him, but he was always like, he always did that sandwich thing. You know, compliment, I'm going to rip you down, and then I'm going to build you back up.
Sandwich?
Go back out on the sales floor. And he was so good at it with me, though, because we had one conversation. And I used a certain sales guy in accessories. And I go, the problem is this. You keep trying to bullshit me that this is good for me. I'm not so-and-so in accessories. Don't talk to me like I'm some 19-year-old fucking moron. I know this is a shit sandwich. Admit it's a shit sandwich. Admit we're in it together and we're just going to make the best of it. And then I'll be on board with you. And he goes, oh, really? And I go, yeah, dude. And he goes, okay, cool. And then that's my favorite man. Still to this day, him and this other guy named Chuck, who's actually been on the podcast, 2 favorite bosses of all time. Because they never, from those moments forward, never bullshitted me. And it was like, yeah, this fucking sucks, dude, but this is what we got to do, man. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right. And then Carson taught me how to be positive and be like, yeah, it sucks, but this is what we're going to do. So let's have a good attitude about it and try to really actually do it. And that changed my fucking life, dude. It really did. I was like 24, 25, 26. It was one of the last times like a mentor or a boss really had a genuine impact on me. Because I think like Carson and like me and like you bring people that are like-minded. Birds of a feather flock together. So I don't think you were just fortunate to have these people around you. I think you brought them in consciously or subconsciously, and then you made these decisions to move forward and invest your time properly.
Yeah.
You also don't seem like a guy, you said earlier that you do a lot, you say yes to too many things, but at the same time, it doesn't seem like you waste any of your time. When you do say yes, it's like worth it, you know, and something good comes from it. So I don't really see the luck side of it. I think you subconsciously make really good decisions, and maybe you don't really acknowledge that. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know you that well, but I've observed you for long enough to kind of see.
I'll say this, like
I think
again, I don't
happening.
I don't love talking about Guitar Center. You know, I
you mean you don't want to spend the next hour and a half continuing this conversation on Guitar Center?
I'll say this. This is my real feelings about it. Like, you know, when there's a lot of guys who, when they left Guitar Center, they just reposted every negative article about Guitar Center for the next 5 years afterwards, and I don't want to be one of those salty.
Those are the same guys though who break up with a girl and Facebook everybody that she's a whore.
Yeah, like you know, here's the thing. Here's my.
What role did you play in that toxic relationship, bro? Like,
here's my true feelings.
Were
about
you
Guitar
the
Center
best Guitar Center employee, homie?
Guitar
I wasn't.
Thinking about Guitar Center really kind of it kind of takes me out because you know, you don't quit, you know, and I mean, you've heard that story, like, you don't, the analogy, like, you don't quit your job, you quit your boss, right? Well, I didn't just quit. I was the boss. So I quit a bunch of people, and that's not cool. And maybe those people don't care, or maybe they're better off because of it. But I will forever feel like I just abandoned a bunch of people, and that wasn't very cool. So you gotta do what's best for you, dude. But I'll say this about guitars, like a lot of the things that I did as a Guitar Center, especially a Guitar Center salesperson, was kind of like a lore. Like, there was like people would tell stories about it. I would hear stories about myself when I'd go to another store, right? Oh, really? And about some of these things, and like that it was all skill based, and 100% of all of these, like, I don't want to say legendary to make it sound bigger than it was, but these like legends of what I would do, those were all luck, you know. Like, it just was lucky. Like, you know, like a real popular one was I sold a Dragon, right? Actually, to what the best guitar player I've ever seen in my life. The customer is such an amazing musician. He still is. And I sold him a Dragon, and I was
for people that don't know, including me, what's a Dragon?
A Paul Reed Smith Dragon.
Oh, fuck, I did know that.
The $35,000 guitar, right? So for my first year,
I don't think I've ever seen one in real life, though. Even at Edina Platinum Guitar.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever seen one in real life.
Edina never sold the Paul Reed Smiths like I did.
We did sell a lot, but not... You were the PRS guy.
Well, and I'll say that I that really set me apart from everybody else that on the sales associate level, was that I sold this $35,000 guitar, and it was like, how did I do it? And here's what it was, and I'll tell you, it's 100% luck. I would sell this guy. This guy would always come in every month. He was my customer at the other music store I worked at.
Okay.
And I brought him right over to Guitar Center, and
so that's not luck, but keep going.
And he would.
I'll break this down afterwards, but keep going.
He would buy like a $2,200 guitar, sometimes two, every month. The guy just buys every guitar, and so I'm not gonna get
keep going. No, keep going. Keep going.
One day, I'd always carry my personal rule is that I would carry everybody's gear out, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is the last time somebody's gonna do this for free, and I'd carry their gear out to their car for them, and it was also so I could smoke.
Sure. But I used to do that, yeah.
And so but one day I was carrying out these guitars. He bought two $1,700 guitars, and I was like, man, you buy a lot of guitars. What's like the cream de creme of your collection? And he goes, listen, I don't think of guitars that way. I buy guitars to play them. I don't buy one to just look at. I'm like, but if you were, what would you buy? And he goes, I'd buy a Paul Reed Smith Dragon. And I'm like, oh, this was in 2007. I'm like, the 2006 are still out there. Plenty of stores have them. He goes, I would never pay $35,000 for a guitar, never. So he goes, don't go look for one. Don't do, don't call me in an hour, right?
Because that's Guitar Center tactics.
So
he knows.
So I went into the office. I looked up all the stores that had one. I called every single store. Found one that was in stock. Asked our district manager.
Did you SPO it?
I did. Or sit.
You said it.
Yeah.
Sit it.
And I called my district manager at the time. I was a salesperson, but I called my district manager. I'm like, can I do a discount on this? He was like, how much? I'm like, can I take $2,000 off? And he's like, sure. They're like a $35,000 guitar. Sure, take $2,000 off. And this is back in the Wild West where money was nothing. But I called this customer and I said, hey man, I found you one. And he goes, I'm not paying $35,000. I'm like, would you pay $33,000? And he goes, yes. and so
people are so, dude. People are. Oh my god, dude.
So anyway, but
yep.
But that guy was gonna buy.
I thought you were gonna be like no, and then it was like 29, and then he got him up to 31. He had to make another phone call. That motherfucker caved immediately. That dude is definitely not Jewish because he caved on the very first.
Oh, I know. I would say
do 33. He went, yep.
No. No, so but hold on.
A Jew would never do that.
No.
A Jew would never do that.
But we're not. No, so don't know. We're not gonna say this customer did anything.
I'm Jewish, by the way. I can make these jokes.
Here's what it was. I had a district manager at the time that didn't understand that this guitar was not discountable. I had the luck that this guy he would have bought it at 35. He wanted it. That's what he wanted. He just wasn't ever gonna buy it from Guitar Center. Right, he was gonna buy it from like Dave's and La Crosse or like a real store, right? And so, anyway, but that's one of the things I was known for 10 years, 15 years of anybody repeating that story. I was known as the guy that sold Dragon, and sure. I didn't do anything. I carried a guy's guitar out and asked him one question, like that.
But he had been buying guitars from you a while,
yeah,
and you'd brought him from another store, so he was he liked you. That's called relationship building, and that's what real sales guys do is they build relationships with people to where they don't even really want to fuck with anybody else. So when the luck happens, it always comes to you.
But
that's why it's not luck, because you had built years into this.
But here I'm gonna tell you 5,000 stories, but I'll tell you another. This is luck, right? Now what I guess what I want to get across is for every one time these kind of things worked for me, there was like 400 that didn't.
Failures, yeah.
Right? But
that's how I talk about ideas. Yeah.
I speaking of the Edina guys, I had a hard time with those guys. But the Edina crew was pretty upset when I sold I wasn't a salesperson, I was a store manager. But I sold Peter Frampton Les Paul Custom, the $7,800 guitar, right? So a guy comes in, shows me a musician's friend ad that he had saved on his phone, and he goes, "I want to pre-order this whenever it comes out." And so this was like a, hey, next, what's coming up next year type of thing.
Sure.
And it had a picture of this Peter Frampton Les Paul Custom. And anyway, so I call Gibson for the guy, and they're like, "Yeah, it's gonna be a while, right? Like, that's probably not. It's gonna be about more than a year, right?" So I didn't forward this on to a salesperson. I was like, "This is gonna whoever's here today isn't gonna be here a year from now."
Sure, right.
And so
maybe Adam Graff. Maybe Adam Graff.
So I just kept kind of working on it, and then one of the times I call Gibson and say, like, "Any updates on this thing?" They're like, they canceled it. They couldn't get approval. Peter Frampton and his team didn't agree on this, and
so they announced it, put ads out for it on Musician's Friend.
One ad, one article. It wasn't an ad, an article.
Before they actually had approval.
Yep.
I wonder if that's how a lot of things get done. You just start it, and then people have a hard time saying no because it's already, the ball's in motion.
Yep. So they're trying to gauge interest, of course. Yep. And so anyway, I tell the customer, he's like, "Darn it." He goes, "I have the money now. I'm ready to go." And I was like, and I went home that night, and I was like, man, maybe there's something else I can do, right? So the next day I call, and I'm like, "What if we did a custom shop?" And they're like, "It can't say Frampton on it. The best thing you can do is find like a used Frampton from the last time we did it." And I was like, "Well, that's not what he wants." Anyway, so I went home again, and I'm just like, I stewed on it all night. And then I called him.
This isn't luck. See,
luck.
You're thinking. No, dude. It
is luck.
No, it's
because here's what happened. I texted the guy at like 5:30 in the morning because I hadn't slept, but I just kept thinking about it. I'm like, "Do you still have that screenshot?" And he sent it to me, and I called. I called our buyer, the buyers that Guitar Center had, because they obviously Musician's Friend and Guitar Center together, and I said, "Where's the guitar in the picture?" And they're like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Here, I'm gonna just email you this picture. Where is that guitar?" They're like, "Gibson has it, I'm sure. They made the picture for us." And I'm like, "Cool." So I called Gibson. I'm like, "Where's this picture? Can I get somebody's email address? Where is the guitar in this picture?" And they're like, "We never got it back from Musician's Friend." So I call Musician's Friend again, and they're like, "Oh, it is here. It's in with the photograph guitars." I'm like, "Can I sell it?" It's never going to come out. And so we had to get the guy to sign a non-disclosure agreement that he wouldn't post anything online for 1 year. And the guy's like, "I don't even have social media." And I sold the guy.
The only existing guitar. That guitar is going to be worth $100,000
Probably not.
soon. Fuck yeah,
But
well, dude, if it's a real Gibson and it's one of one.
So like the people are like, "Man, this guy could sell you a guitar that doesn't even exist." And I was like, it's just
that's not luck,
it
dude.
is total luck.
No, dude, you did the work, bro. You went so far above and beyond that any normal sales guy would do. That is not luck, dude.
No, it's total
that's
luck.
that's not. You do not understand what luck is, dude.
So you
You have a horrible definition of luck, my friend.
It's luck.
No, that wasn't luck, dude. You did all the things. You did, again, I'm a great sales guy, and I wouldn't have even been that creative or gone that far. I would have just been like, yeah, it's just, I wouldn't have went home and stewed on it all night. I'd have taken the loss and I'd have moved on to the next sale. That's why you're built different, dude. That's not luck, dude. That's something different. That's what made you a great sales guy. That's what made you a good manager. Yeah, don't sell yourself short on that one, dude. You're wrong, bitch.
Here, I got one more. I'll try to make it quick. It's kind of two stories in one, but I had this guy. This is kind
I take it Al's not coming.
I texted him. I wasn't planning on it. I just got done coaching at the gym. Yes, please.
I mean, it depends on how fast he's going to get here, because we're only going to be on for like another 45 minutes. Yeah, if he can get here in the next 15 minutes, sure.
All right, here you go. This is another just dumb Guitar Center dumb stories. So this guy, actually another customer of mine from the other music store I worked at. This guy, really good guitar player, really good guy even. I'll say that him and I never really hit it off because at the other music store I worked at, they did consignment. And he brought us this Fender Standard Stratocaster that had the cover of a Yes album on it. Like he got somebody do it, and it was really well done. But he wanted like $3,500 for it. And it was like at the time a Standard Strat was like $1,200. I'm like, so you just ruined somebody's Stratocaster and you want more money for it? I'm like, like there's like 8 Yes fans and they died last year. You know, like I'm like, but so we actually but you can't say no to consignment, right? So we actually hung it above the door when you would come into that place, right? And so I was hung around and he would come in every month and he'd be like, no biters yet? And I'm like, nah, not until you put that thing at like $400, you know? But anyway, I knew this guy for 2 years before I ever even got to Guitar Center. And so I'd been working Guitar Center now for another year. So it's been 3 years since I knew this guy. And he never bought a single thing from me. And so one day I'm like, hey, man, I've been helping you out. And you can totally come here. It doesn't cost you anything to try stuff out. But I go, do you really own everything you've ever wanted? And he goes, no, but the Guitar Center is not going to have it. And I'm like, well, what is it? And he goes, no. He goes, I didn't mean it that way. No music store is going to have it. And I said, well, what is it? He goes, do you remember the Steve Morse Y2K Music Man guitar? And I said, yeah. He goes, I want one of those, but I want one that's never been played. I found him one that was cycled out of inventory and counted back in at the Baltimore store.
See, again, not luck, dude.
That is total luck.
It's not luck, dude. You went and did the digging, dude.
So anyway, we sold this guy. And so when he came in to pick it up, he was like, I guess you can just make up a guitar and this guy will buy it, or this guy will find it for you. So anyway, like a couple days later, a guy comes in and he goes, so you're the guy that was shooting his mouth off saying that you could just make something up and you could find it and sell it to me? And I said, I didn't say that. And he goes, okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to mention a guitar. I'm going to give you all the specs, and you're going to find it, and you're going to sell it to me. And he goes, when you find it, I swear I'll buy it. He goes, I want a 5-string bass with an ebony fretboard. I want it to be neck through. I want it to be gold hardware. I want it to be fretless. I want it to be left-handed. And I want it for under $200.
Ooh. See, I would have gone Warwick until he said under $200.
I found him a Kramer bass that checked all the boxes for $175.
A used one?
Yep. And he came in and bought it. And he was very, very nice about it, but he was like, "Listen, I'm not left-handed and I don't play bass, but I'll buy this thing." And I was again.
Do you still have that guy's number? I got a left-handed bass player that might buy it. It's a Kramer. It's probably built pretty well.
I'll tell you, it's just luck. That was luck.
It's not luck, dude. You put in the work, man.
So that's the stuff that's fun.
Some people believe that there is no such thing as luck. It's preparation for opportunity.
Sure.
And I'm not saying
that deep, but
I'm not saying that, but none of the things you described are luck.
It's just, you know, if you know the clock is correct, you know, a broke clock
here's what it is. To go back
What's
to our earlier conversation, these are priorities for you. So you bumped them up in the hierarchy of things you dedicated your time and energy to. Guy gave you a challenge. You only made $200 off of it, or $175. You didn't even make that. No, the store didn't even make $175. Right? You sold it for $175, which means at best, if they did their job right, the store made like $87.50, which back then, based on how things worked, you made like
$12.
At best, $8 off that guitar.
You got 10% of the margin, or 10% of the margin,
sale,
and then
right?
and 3% of the gross sale. So back then.
Oh yeah. So what? Yeah. So maybe $12.
Yeah.
Yep. But the fact that you worked that hard for $12,
is
the antithesis to the idea of luck.
I heard somebody say once that it shouldn't matter if they're spending $1 or $100 or $1,000, and I was like, yeah, why not? Why not? Let's be that guy.
No, and that is absolutely true.
Yeah. And I think that same way now. Like
that's what my question was going to be. How have you taken all of that mindset and used that as a musician or for your bands to like make your band successful or better? Because that's why I brought the Guitar Center shit up. That's why I thought it would be a fun conversation, because I learned a lot at Guitar Center that I have implemented in my bands, from gear choices, or just not even gear choices, how to choose gear. Not what gear to choose, but how to choose gear for your band, to sales, from merch, to everything, right? Like Guitar Center impacted my music career in an I was going to say extremely, now I'm going to say insanely positive way. What are some of the cool, fun things that you learned or perfected or whatever at Guitar Center that you've been able to directly translate into being in a band that maybe give you, we could say, a leg up over some other regular bands that don't really have the breadth of knowledge?
I'll say it's not just Guitar Center; it's the other music store I worked at. But so this other music store I worked at, Electric City Music in Kaukauna, Wisconsin, was really well known globally as like the place you would buy a bass. Right? Sure. They had basses that you would never
like American Guitars here.
It was like stuff you've never heard of. Right,
like when James Hetfield comes to Minneapolis, he goes to American Guitars to grab something.
And like they're so what happened is that's where I got.
We're used to.
That's where I got learned. That's where I learned to like not be afraid of the no, right? Like mom and dad bring their daughter in, and they're like, she wants to play her first guitar. The cheapest guitar we had in the store was $1,200. It was a G&L. So the Comanche. So that was our cheapest guitar.
For people that don't know, a G&L is like a good Fender. That's the way it kind of used to be described.
Yeah, it's the George Fullerton and Leo Fender brand, right?
Yeah, it's literally, it's literally 50% Leo Fender after he started Fender.
Yep.
He created another company that he was 50% partnerships with this other, and it's just a better Fender. It just literally is a better Fender.
So that was our cheapest guitar. Our cheapest bass was $1,800, right? So
and back then these are huge numbers.
Yeah,
these aren't big numbers now.
So I
like think about it, dude. A fucking a Gibson Studio, right, is like $1,300 now.
Well, and my lowest priced.
So the numbers that you're throwing around are
like 2004 numbers, yeah.
Yeah, so let's try to translate that. Like your cheapest guitar being a $1,300 G&L is probably, no bullshit, $3,300 now. the cheapest $1,800 bass is probably $3,800.
And you can't just play a guitar or bass through nothing, right? So the lowest priced combo we had was it was a top hat that was like $1,400. The lowest price amp we had in the store was that THD Univalve, that head, that little lunchbox head that was like $699 at the time. Anyway, so you come in, mom and dad bring the 8-year-old daughter in, and they're gonna. What am I gonna say? Like, I mean, I'm not gonna try to sell them something they don't need, but also I can't be like, hey, I just noticed you guys come in. This store isn't for you. Right? That's not even nice. That's not even a human, I people that walk in, I'll be like, listen, you walked in to where like professional musicians shop, and I'm going to show you what I have, what I would recommend. And I wouldn't even start with a Comanche. That's not a good for an 8-year-old daughter. No. But anyway, so I got used to the people saying, no, we came in here to buy a Strat pack. Right.
Right.
So when my first day at Guitar Center, I was being shown around, and I said, and I'm like, oh my God, you have $800 guitars? I'm going to sell a ton of these. and then it was Carson, and he was like, we actually have $700 guitars. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to sell a ton of these. And so back to luck. I'll tell you, I actually remember my first.
You don't know the definition of luck, dude. Let's get off this subject, buddy. Every subject you bring up on luck, it's you doing a whole bunch of fucking work, bro. None of this is luck, dog.
I remember my first sale at Guitar Center.
I did fall into a lucky sale at Guitar Center, but go ahead.
My first sale, second day, I I just recognized him from the previous company I worked for. But the guitar tech for he was doing Panic at the Disco at the time, but I knew him from when he was doing Alanis Morissette, and he came in, and I said, "Can I go help that guy?" And they're like, "Yeah, that's fine. You know, you're still training, but yeah, that's fine." And I sold him 20 RH 828, the cheap wooden Roadrunner cases. But that back then they were the Freedom, not Freedom, but whatever they were before Roadrunner. But I sold them that RH 828 case. I sold them like 20 of them, and that was my first sale. And I remember
that's a little lucky. Yeah. You just kind of fall into it. Yeah.
Well, but this is how it went though. Because this is how everything
Are you
went.
about to fucking shoot yourself in the foot? Because if you want to prove luck, dude, you should stop telling this story now, dude.
No, this is what happened, is that one of the sales guys came up and said, "Hey, you're still training, you can't sell yet." And I said, I go, "I know him though." And then he's like, "Oh, he's just buying a guitar case? Fine, go and help him." They didn't realize he was buying 20 of them.
Yeah.
And they were, everybody who was like a vet at that store was just so mad that this. Yeah.
Guitar Center did have that rule for a while. My first one was I got hired. I was working Valentine's Day, believe it or not, which was a huge sales day back then. And I was supposed to, Carson put me at the door, and I was supposed to just be answering phone calls basically and kind of getting used to the computer system.
Yeah.
And I got like 3 different phone calls of people asking if we had this certain guitar. And so I turned to the guy who was supposed to be training me, and he's like, "Oh, I don't know anything about that. You got to go ask this sales guy." Yeah, go for it. And then it happened again. He's like, "Go ask the sales guy." And then these people called back and asked for me because they knew Guitar Center culture. So whoever answers the phone, you're like, "So what's your name?" And then they came in and they asked for me. And then they were like, "Yeah, I want to buy that guitar that you said you have." And I'm like, "Okay." So I turned to Dan John. I'm pretty sure it was Dan John.
I remember him.
And he goes, "Yeah, go ring it up," right? Because he didn't give a fuck, right? So I'm like, okay. So then I walk up and I'm just like, this guy wants to buy this guitar. How do I ring this up? And somebody's like, "Do this. Put your employee number here. Boom, 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 boom." I did that like 3 times in a row, and by the 3rd time, I couldn't make it back to the door. It was so busy, right? And so and then this one guy just walks up and he's like, "Can you help me?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, I guess. I mean, I'm brand new, you know." And he goes, "Do you know anything?" And I go, "Yeah, I mean, I play guitar. What do you want to know?" And he goes, "I want to buy a rig." And I go, "Cool. What do you want?" And he goes, "I want a Fender and I want an amp." And I go, "What kind of music do you play?" And I go, just being a musician, I go through all the correct sales things, like, because I want to hook a musician up with the right gear. Dude, I sold the guy like an insane amount of gear. All of a sudden, at the end of the day, Carson pulls me into the office and he goes, "Why the fuck did you leave the front door?" And I go, well, I explained the story, and then I go, and then I just never made it back there. And I'm a sales guy, so I'm on the sales floor. People are asking me for help. My natural instinct is to help them, right? And he goes, "You're fucking lucky you put 10 grand in Jip on the door today, dude, or on the floor today," because he goes, anybody else would be fired right now. And even Kevin, he goes, Kevin, my buddy Kevin comes up and he goes, "You're so fucking lucky." And I go, "Why?" And he goes, "If you didn't put up 10 grand in Jip on your first day, you'd have been fired." And I go, "Why?" And he goes, "Because you weren't supposed to leave the door." And I go, "Yeah, but the door guy's for losers, or the door's for losers," or something like that. I was like, that's not where you make any money. Like, I'm here to make money, right? Because I was a hardcore sales guy. Like, fucking, I came from like selling siding and windows and like fucking hustling, dude. So I'm just watching money just fly out the door. So like I said, and it wasn't even intentional. It was just, I'm on my way back. People go, "Hey, can you help me?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course I can help you. I want to buy this." "Okay, cool. Do you need this? You need this? You need this?" You know? And then I started like day 1, no training, just throwing add-ons in, 10 grand in Jip. That's the only thing that didn't get me fired. He later promoted me too. Carson kind of loved me. He secretly loves me. Shout out to Carson if you're watching this, bro.
I remember, man, this guy's such a good friend of mine too. But one other one was
But that was luck.
I was always like, somebody walked in, I was gonna just beat you down to get to the front door, you know, and but one day I was behind the guitar counter, and another sales guy was behind the guitar counter, and this guy walks in, and right when he walked in, he asked the door person if do we have any Les Pauls? And his name was Jay. He passed away recently, actually. Rip. But he
Rip.
he jumped over the counter. It was so hilarious. Jumped over the counter to go help that guy because he said he was going to buy a Les Paul. Right? And he
Please tell me he ended up buying an Epiphone.
He did. But he didn't know that yet, right? So he turns around, he gives me the little smirk, like, neener. And the next guy walks in, because now I'm up front too. And the next guy walks in and goes, "What's the longest strap you have?" And the guy was like 7 feet tall. And I was like, great. But I still helped him. Because you know what? My genuine curiosity even surpassed my want to help the customer, because I was like, what is the longest strap we have? So we took them all off the rack, stretched them all out, and we found that we had two of the same one, but it was if you remember this strap, it was a Guitar Center special. It was like a army green, and it had 2 sets of grommets all the way through it, like copper grommets. It was a pretty mainstay strap. They probably still have it on the rack there.
I do think I vaguely remember this.
And anyway, the guy's like, yeah,
that and the pink fluffy one,
and the police line do not cross. Yeah. But he bought. He's like, yeah, I'll buy 2 of them. If you have 2 of them, I'll buy 2 of them. I'm like, I can get you more. And he's like, nah, I'll just get the 2. He goes, my home studio just burned down, and I just got my insurance check today. So he also bought a Les Paul Custom, a Les Paul Studio, and a triple rectifier full stack that I had to get out of Edina. And Jay Schiller was so mad
because he hopped over the counter for an Epiphone
for the 100, and it wasn't even it was like the special 2, so it was like 189.
The bolt-on.
Yeah.
And that's not a real Les Paul. I don't give a fuck what it says on the fucking top. If it's a bolt-on, it's not real.
So I locked out a lot. It was many lucky days.
Yeah, those things do. Though that's probably the closest thing to luck. This other guy jumped on an opportunity. The next one fell in your lap. That's the best version of luck you've given me. So, with all this said, how do you think some of this stuff has positively impacted your music career, especially post Guitar Center? Yeah,
I don't quit. One of the things that when I was like a salesperson was I had this mentality, that I'll sleep when I'm dead kind of thing, right? Like I'm not gonna go home and wait to go to work next day. I got to do something with this time, right? And then you get into a management role and you work a lot and you're putting in 50, 60 hours a week, and you just don't have. You get home and you fall asleep, and then you go to work the next day, and then then the next thing you know, it's 9 years later and you haven't done anything, right? Mm-hmm. So my mentality now is I take one night off a week, and it's Thursdays. That's my night.
That's Sundays, but yeah.
I do something. I'm going to do something. I don't care what it is. I'm going to do something fun, something enjoyable, something that's going to progress me into the next thing. And that's what so I don't want to say don't take no for an answer, meaning that somebody can't say no to us, but I'm not going to quit because you said no. I might quit talking to that venue, or I might quit talking to that person, but I'm not going to, that one person's no doesn't mean I'm going to stop. And that's definitely a value that I got working in that environment.
Do you own a house? Do you own a home?
Yep.
How do you balance all the shit of owning a home and still like having enough time to do everything else, including music, a job, a wife if you have one?
My wife is an amazing person, and she is I would say that I could outwork most people in the world. I do wear that badge of honor very proudly, but sure. she works harder than I do. So we're a pretty good team. But yeah, if you want it, you better take care of it. If you want,
yeah.
If you want, and that's just set a goal. I mean, I wish I could say my goal is to be to be the most popular pop metal band in Minneapolis, but that hasn't, that maybe soon.
You really do call yourselves pop metal?
Yeah, or I think somebody called us 93X metal, and I was like, that's fine, I don't care.
Sure.
I don't necessarily seek out those bands, but I
think hard rock is a way more accurate thing to call you. I think you accurately describe yourselves, like from your description on your website.
But
you guys are a hard rock band.
But I'll tell you that the next record is more the pop metal, right? So what I'm talking about is it's heavier and poppier,
Sure.
right? So the next record is
Catchier choruses.
yeah, and actually I wish I had a clip for you. It's
So
not,
are you doing a little bit more major stuff too to keep it poppier?
no, we're almost exclusive minor key, but I just having the big catchy hooky choruses.
How poppy can it be if it's all minor?
Just having just writing a song with like kind of like when you mentioned the editing on our video. I read an article. I think actually Albert pointed out this article about editing video that you can't go 5 seconds without something happening. If 5 seconds goes by in your video and nothing's
Way
happened,
too long.
you need to change.
Yeah.
You need to change to a different camera.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
so I decided to, why don't you just use that when you write a song? If something interesting doesn't happen in 5 seconds, then that part's got to get cut, right? And so that's how you make it more poppy and more accessible, right? And
Yeah, that might be right. Because how long is 5 seconds? That's at least 4 bars,
yeah, so
if not 8, depending on your tempo or your song. So
I'm pretty much
Yeah.
putting the
Yeah.
expectation of our next record pretty high up there, but that was the mentality behind the writing is that it's going to be a little heavier to appease the people that review our stuff, and then but it's going to be a little bit more popular, pop oriented to maybe generate an audience.
I'll be interested to see how this goes because I am a firm advocate of, and you're doing the antithesis of this, so I want to see if I'm wrong. I'm a firm advocate of do not listen to anybody and only create music that you like and that you want to listen to, and then try to market that and find that million people that think like you. Because here's the math behind it, right? We got 300 plus million people in this country, okay? And back in the day, if you sold physical copies of your records, if you sold 1 million records, you're platinum. You're the biggest thing since sliced bread, okay? That's 1 out of 300 people. Okay, now it's like if you sold 100,000 records, you're insanely popular, right? But let's just keep it. Let's just keep it to 1 million. Just keep the math simple, right? Because it's 1 in 300, right?
Yeah.
So what you got to do is find 1 out of 300 people who like your music enough to support it. That's easy, dude. I know shitty punk bands that are making professional livings, and they're not nearly as good as your band. So how do we get your band in front of 300 new people over and over and over again? That's the question. How do we promote your music and expose it to 300 new people every single day? Because I guarantee you, if I put your band in front of 300 people, you'd sell more than 1 record.
Yeah.
Like an actual physical CD at the merch booth. I guarantee it. So how can I do that 1 million times, right? Because if I put you in front of 3,000 people, right, are you going to sell 100 records? Maybe, probably, right? If you're good enough.
Yeah.
But now I don't have to do it 1 million times. Now I only got to do it 100,000 times.
Yeah.
So what if I put you in front of 30,000 people? Now we only got to do it 10,000 times. That's the idea of like radio play, right?
Yeah.
That's the idea of the YouTube shit. But you got to capture these people. So that's where I start to like kind of lose the thread a little bit, is like, how do we, I get how we get there. How do we convert that? How do we make that a fan? How do we get that person in the circle? When we can figure out that next transition, we're all going to be fucking golden. Do you have any fucking ideas on how to fill that gap, on how to turn that person who comes into our store and they browse, but as a YouTube person, as a fan at your audience, how do we convert it? Because all we really need, brother, is 1 out of 300 people, and we all should be able to do better than that if our bands are good, right? Yeah. Okay, so how do we do that as bands?
Yeah, that's like the $1 million question. I don't know if there's an answer.
Well, there's a million answers for it,
but
you got to have one, right?
I'll say
there's
that
no one right one. There's 1,000.
What I'm hoping,
10,000 good ones.
What I hope, I mean, you can put hope in one hand and
shit
right?
in the other.
But I'll say what I hope is that people realize how genuine what we're doing is, right? Like you mentioned, like I'm not trying to write songs that people like. I mean that like I was that way for a long time. I mean, when I say a long time, I mean until like 8 years ago. I did everything because I thought that that's what people would want to hear, or that would even just how I behaved in a regular life is I'm going to behave in a way that people want me to behave, and like where you're just trying to be a people pleaser with everything, and I think that becomes a pretty insincere when it comes across in an art form like music, right? So it has to be something that's genuine, right? Like it has to be something that it is you, that it speaks your style or your personality through it. It has to be, or else what's the point, right? If I wrote a song that was the greatest song ever written, but I didn't like it myself, what a weird thing to live with, right?
Well, Elton John did that.
Oh yeah,
with Benny and the Jets. He didn't like that song. He didn't even want it on the record. He got basically convinced to put it on the record. It was a B-side, and he didn't even think it was a good song until it went #1 on the Motown charts. And then people loved it when he was playing live, and then years later, he's like, I think it's a pretty good song. But he almost like admitted it reluctantly. So you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's a weird... And this is the battle we musicians play. Do you want to do it just for you? Do you need to appease somebody in your band or a record label? Are you trying to appease the fans? Like, because that's what AC/DC did, right? Like, and I'm not dogging anybody for doing this. AC/DC, one of the greatest bands of all time. You said you're trying to write Calm 12 times or 9 times, right? AC/DC admitted that once they figured out their formula, not only did they try to write the same album over and over again, they tried to write the same song over and over again. And it culminated with Back in Black.
yeah.
So there's nothing wrong to this way of thinking. I'm just curious.
Well, I'll say the one thing you just mentioned, though, a word you mentioned was formula. And so one of the reviews that we got,
They came up with a formula. Not everybody writes to a formula.
Well, one of our reviews that we got
was their phrase
on
not
our
mine.
record was that we clearly have a formula, and that hurt. That hurt. I was like, like basically saying that all of our songs are verse, chorus, solo, chorus, done, right? And that affected me deeply. And so last week when Albert came over, we started doing the rough tracks for the record. He was like, why do you have why is there no guitar in the second verse? Or why is this verse half as long as the first verse? I'm like, because I refuse to have that guy be right. No way. And it's one guy that who knows how many impressions he had with his article that he wrote about us. But what I'm getting at is I'm not gonna let that guy decide how this is all gonna go. If 10 people read that, I'm not gonna let.
You know what's crazy is like I wonder if he meant it as a compliment.
No, he was like, they do follow a little bit. Once you get further in the record, you see that there's a formula. It's verse, chorus, solo.
Oh, he did.
Yeah,
Okay.
He's like, not that that's wrong. There's hundreds of pop songs there. I'm like, no, we're gonna do something different.
Try to be a little bit more creative, sure.
So, but yeah, formula. Like that's a word that is a trigger term for me. There can't be a formula.
Yeah, it's interesting because that word could mean that's a loaded phrase. Because I have a formula for writing songs.
I don't.
But it definitely does not mean that every song. I mean, ask Will. Will plays drums for me. Do you agree my songs follow a formula? You do? So you see the formula. There's other people that think my songs are fucking chaos and they make no sense. Well, like, why are you playing this riff 3 times? I'm like, because that's how many bars it needs to be in order for it to feel good. Like that's the formula.
the only formula
I play it until it feels good.
The only formula I have in the creative process is Right now, we're kind of, again, sometimes your reviews mess with your head too much and mess with your creativity.
Yeah, that's where I was kind of going with this.
But we're, like some of our songs on the first record were 6 minutes long, and now I know that you can't do that, or else when you put it out on vinyl, you have to cut a song, which is what we did. We had to remove a song to release it on vinyl because our album was too long.
Is that because you can only fit so many songs per side?
Yeah, and so we're 100% conscious now that you have to make a 46-minute record with 20. It can be split up 23 and 23. Because I don't want to have to have a sacrificial lamb song that gets taken off the vinyl version of it, right? Because our vinyl sells way more than our discs do, of course, because nobody has a CD player anymore. I'll say the thing.
Really, you do sell more vinyls than CDs now?
Of course, and we also sell like those. We have those cassettes that they're USB sticks, but they look like a cassette. Those are huge sellers.
Really?
Yeah, because then you can listen to it on the way home, right? You can just plug it into the USB in your car and pull up. So it's a cool little thing. It has MP3s and the waves on there. And
dude, you have to send me the link to that.
A link to it?
Yeah.
You just get one at the show.
No. I mean, so we can do them.
Oh, got it. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's genius for specifically the Montoya machine, because it's very late '90s.
You can do them from right from CD Baby.
Oh, really?
Yep. And but I want to say, like, so now we're definitely like chopping songs off, like, hey man, maybe we should only do this once through because it's getting long.
Nah, fuck that. Nope, fuck that, dude. That's where you have edits, right? So you have the album edit, right? So you have like a full version on streaming, right? Then you have the album edit, right? You have like extra shit. Nah, man, don't be no.
But
sorry, I'm getting ghetto. Nah, dog. Nah, we don't be playing that shit in here.
I want none of that.
You can tell I grew up around black people. As white as I look, I grew up around all black people almost my whole life.
So I don't know. I guess my point is that we're just gonna try to make the best thing we can and still be genuine as much as we possibly can. The thing is, like, I think if you talk about how people perceive you, if people don't like me, they definitely probably don't like my music. There's probably
that tracks. Yes.
Yeah. There's so much of me in that music that if you don't like me, you can't like that.
And that also goes the other way. There's people that like your band that start to like you as a person, and the other way. There's bands where I've been kind of mid on. I'm like, they're all right. And then I get to know them as people, and I'm like, I fucking love this band. Like, that happens. Like, and that's part of the beauty of the podcast, right? People really get to know you. That's why we talk about random things, and we don't just keep hammering, and I don't just do standard interview questions and ask you stupid, repetitive shit about the band, because that doesn't really ever expose the person or the personality. Yeah. Because that's truthful, man. Like, I've become a huge fan of certain musicians and or comedians strictly because I heard them on a podcast, and I was like, this person's cool as fuck. They're hilarious, or I really like the way they think about things, or they're really smart, and they're intrigued. Whatever emotional response I have,
100%
and
with
I
you.
check their stuff out. And honestly, sometimes I already knew their content before the podcast and was mid on it. Sometimes I was whatever, but either way, when I check them out after the podcast, I enjoy it or appreciate it more because now I understand where they're coming from, who they are as a person, their motivations behind this thing, like their take on a thing, why Bill Burr seems angry even though he's definitely not. It's because he grew up in Boston with an abusive father. He's very, very similar to me. You know what I mean? Like, there's just a way certain people are cut, and it's not because they're bitter or angry. It's just their fucking personality, and you just got to learn how to interpret that language. Otherwise, you think this is just some bald fucking ginger who's angry about fucking some stupid shit, and you don't realize he's mostly being sarcastic. It is what it is. So,
I went through a long period of time where like I was saying earlier, where I really cared about how people perceived me on a personal level and a music level. I mean, I'm from a small town where there was other guitar players, and I was never, ever, and still not on the level of those guys. Those guys were they practiced.
You're a very good guitar player, Trent.
But I really
I would even say you're a great guitar player.
That's not true. But I
you.
really I really took it to heart, like that I wanted to like it was almost like I really want to be this thing that I can't be, and it really bummed me out. Like it really it took my and that's what really got me into playing cover songs, because I was like, well, at least I can do that. I mean, like at least there's a at least I have a spot that I can but now I guess I don't really care. I don't care that if I'm the best player in the room anymore. That doesn't bother me.
You're just being you.
You know, and like there's some crazy guitar players that we get to see, like kind of on a monthly basis because of the shows that we get to do, right? Like the Callous Soul and Trigger Armada, and like some of these guys that have, like, these are serious guitar players. I'm not like that. Those guys are but I'll tell you, it's so like motivating. Like, so when it comes to writing a new record, now I'm like, okay, I mean, not that I care, but what I think though, I saw these guys do this cool little riff when they played a show, and people went, whoa, I want that. That's
the healthy competition.
Yeah.
That's where I think Battle of the Bands need to come back, and like playing with better bands or better musicians before you. So like we're playing this headlining show. We didn't book 3 duds in front of us, right? Like if I'm going to try to make this joke live at the show, and I don't know how I'm going to deliver it because I don't have a microphone. So I got to wait till Jeremy shuts the fuck up.
Or you talking to the Tom?
No, I don't want to do that. But I got to wait because I got a big enough voice where basically the joke is going to be, if we were basing this show based on drummer talent, I should have played first, even though I'm headlining, because Al's that good and fucking Lance is that good, and I don't know the drummer of Madam Driver, but I'm sure he's fucking good, dude. So if you were gonna just do this show based on like escalation of talent, from the drummer perspective, I don't know what the order should be, but I should definitely be first, bro. That's all I know for sure.
Well, I will say that I have been very, very fortunate to pretty much only be around great drummers my entire life, right? I've been with some singers that weren't so great. I've been with some bass players that weren't so great. But man,
I'm not horrible anymore, but I can't hold a candle to Al or Lance Reed. Like those guys both those guys are different stratospheres than me.
If I made a list of all the drummers I've ever played with, you wouldn't know who they were, but it would be a pretty high caliber list, and I like definitely beyond my level of comparatively to from guitar to drums. But Al has been a godsend. So one of the first drummers I ever played with my entire life, I was 14 years old and he was 17, and he told me something once. He's like, I'm not a good drummer, but what makes me better than other people is that I don't play drums, I play the song. And,
yeah, I agree with that.
And I've been looking for that guy forever, and I found it in Albert, right? Yep. But yeah, the drummer, I'll give him a shout.
That's my mentality too.
His name was Steve Hawley, and that's exactly what he said when I was 14 years old, and I was like, man, I can't play guitar, I got to play the song, right?
Yep.
And so that's I will say though that I still do it a little bit. You'll catch me like doing like overhand. I play overhand a lot, right? But I'll
that's fun. That's great for shows. Yeah.
I'll embarrass myself a little bit here. Is that about 26 years ago, I decided that if I can't play as fast or play as intricate and play as as these guys who practice in their every single night,
right?
If I can't do that, I would at least like make it look cooler doing it. And I used to do some of the dumbest stuff ever that you've ever heard of. I used to do a guitar solo back in the day, and I would have 2 jars on my amp. One was filled with lighter fluid, and the other was a candle. And I would have the candle lit before the show, but when it came time for my guitar solo, I would dip my left hand in the lighter fluid and then light it with the candle and play a solo with it with my hand on fire, right? I used to just jump off. Like, so anyway, you just kind of triggered a memory with me with when you talk about Battle of the Bands. My old band, 20-something.
Oh yeah, that was the healthy competition idea of like playing with people that are better than you in a healthy, competitive way. I think it brings out the good in us, and we stopped doing that in this town a long time ago, and it desperately needs to come back.
Well, we played a Battle of the Bands, and I was 100% the weak link, right? I mean, like not just in my own band, but in the comparatively to the other bands, they just had like elite musicians, and the prize for this was you got to play at this big festival show and open for whatever band you wanted to open for, and anyway, the band right for us, the guitar player, like the ceiling of the above the stage. This was in Fargo, at a bar called Rick's. I think it's still there. But above the stage, they had like that suspended ceiling, like grid, but they didn't have the like where it gets to the stage. It's not. There's nothing. There's no panels up there. But he does he goes up there, gets his feet. He's hanging by his knees, like from a jungle gym type of looking thing, and he played his guitar upside down. And I was like, that bastard, how am I going to top this? And
I'm going to light my hand on fire.
No, soon as we started the first song, I just jumped directly into the crowd. You see people crowd surf or stage dive. You don't usually see the guitar player doing it, right? So I jumped out and
Did you have a corded guitar?
No, it was wireless. Anyway, we won, right? I don't know if it was all because of that, but we were gonna outdo those guys.
You have to, right?
No matter what, it didn't matter if we hurt ourselves doing it, and but yeah, that was how we won the Battle of the Bands, and they got to play the biggest show I ever played.
Yeah, dude. The battles were definitely never the biggest shows I played, but they were always when I made it, and I made it to the finals a bunch of times. I never won the Battle of the Bands except for one that was rigged, and ironically we were rigged to lose, but no one showed up, and all the judges unanimously voted us as the winner, so there was no way they could give it to them. So it was us and Buried by Hope. So I was singing for Dying Euphoria. Jeremy, my singer now, was singing for Buried by Hope. It was rigged. They were going to win. We were going to place second. And it didn't matter because we overwhelmingly won by the very few. So there was only a handful. There was supposed to be like thousands of people here. But somehow, some way, because they had been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
And somehow, some way, like something else must have been going on in town or out of town, and no one came. So the very few people that did come, 100% voted for us. All the judges voted for us, except for the guy who rigged it, right? And he'd been doing this for a while. So, but there was this huge meeting, and they were like, no. They won. They get the money. So behind the scenes, Bill came to us, and he's like, so how about we split the money? And, of course, my band was like, fuck yeah, we'll split the money. And Buried by Hope was super mad, dude, that they had to split the money because they were guaranteed, like, I don't know what it was, like $3,500 or something like that.
Yeah.
And we were guaranteed like $2,000. But then we ended up having to split it, so it was like $2,750, and they were super mad about it. And I will never feel bad about this because the only Battle of the Bands I ever won was the one that was rigged against me, dude. I'll fucking die on that hill, dude. I don't feel bad for a second, bro, because all the ones that weren't rigged, I lost. But I made it to the finals a lot, and that's what I was trying to say is like, when you made it to the finals of the real Battle of the Bands, dude, definitely not the biggest shows, but 100% the most fun I ever had because of what you said. You really had to like step it up, and dig deep. And that's that football mentality, that competitor, and like it brings something out of you that is a very healthy thing if your ego is in a good place.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't like Battle of the Bands because they're like, I don't like making music competitive. I'm like, that's a weird thing to say out loud, dude. Like,
I don't like the idea.
You're not making music competitive. You're making your performance of that music competitive.
I don't like the idea of a battle of the bands for the one reason that no band is better than another one based off of one night, one show, one
That's
set.
not what a battle of the bands is about, dude.
Right? I just don't believe that. But I'll say this, that when we won that battle of the bands in my old band, a lot of people told us it was rigged. You know, like on our way out, other bands were like, it was rigged, right? And I was like, well, good for us then. You know, I remember on the way home, I was in Fargo, so there was actually 12 preliminaries, right? And we did our preliminary in Detroit Lakes, Minnesota, and then we got to the finals. So the 12 bands of the finals, I on the way home that night, we'd already won. One of the bands was on the radio telling how it was rigged, and I was like, hey, we just got mentioned on the radio. You know, like yeah. you can't let it hurt. You know.
Yeah, and there was a band that won, and in fact, they didn't even win. They were we did like the Minnesota Music Award things for a while, and there was a band who was nominated for a Minnesota Music Award, and so they started putting that on their flyer, Minnesota Music Award nominee. And I don't remember the name of the band, but it was somebody who was on the podcast. I feel really bad. I'm sorry, dude. I don't remember who you were. And they were like, no, you're right, dude, because we just started putting that on our flyers and like on our one sheet, Minnesota Music Award nominee, and then the name of their band. And they were like, dude, the bookings we got were fucking crazy. We got bigger, better bands. We got tour offers. Like, we started getting radio play. Like, just having something to put, an accomplishment to say you did something.
Yeah.
That Battle of the Bands winner. You know, you join a competition that says Minnesota's best band, you know, or Midwest Metal Champion Fest, you know, whatever, dude, you win something. Or even if you're a nominee, right? Yeah. Finalist, right? Figure out a way to phrase that, man, and use that, dude, to run with it. Because it happened. You accomplished that. Because it kind of goes back to where we first started the conversation, which is like to start a band and get 5 grown human beings, even if you're 21. Okay, well, most bands is 4 or 5. But like, even if you're 21, but the older you get, the harder it gets. To get that many people in a room is hard. And to write an album's worth of music.
Oh, I think you took too many steps. So to get that many people in a room, and then get that many people in a room that all want to go in the same direction on Tuesday.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. Like it's so incremental. Right. Yeah. Like that can agree on like we talked about band names. The band name should be like the 8th thing you do in a band. The first thing is like, can we agree on anything? Right? And so, that's why we're a 3-piece.
That's what I meant by get together in a room, because just getting everybody to show up on the same day or 3 times a week, oh my God, dude, it's insane. So that's a huge accomplishment. Then, like you said, you actually come up with a band name and it's good. Oh my God. And then you actually write an album's worth of music. Okay, cool. Holy fuck. You're already in a 1%, right? Like, you're already the 1% of most musicians right there. Every step from here is just another 1% of the 1%. So, okay, you got an album. You actually recorded it and you booked a show? Bro, do you have any idea how fucking hard that is? Okay, you put it online, it's streaming, you got good oh my God. Dude, you're playing multiple shows, you haven't broken up yet, it's a year later. Oh my fucking, you bought a van? You're playing in out of town? What? Like, this is unheard of. And it really kind of is, though. Like, I'm being dramatic, but it is that crazy. It's that hard to get that many people to do a thing for any period of time. And no one's immediately making money. That's the difference. Everybody can go to a job. The military works. All those people are getting paid. All those people have benefits. All those people have families that are depending on it. When you do a band thing, it's a hope and a dream. That's it.
And then you always know, you always know the band guys, like the real band guys. And I don't mean that as a disparaging comment. It's okay if you're not a real band guy. What I'm talking about is the people that have buried their entire lives into it, regardless of the outcome, and they're okay with it. That's what I mean by real band guy.
That's a musician,
right? And so what I mean by that is the like, you asked if I have a house. Of course I have to have a house, because what if I want to have band practice there?
right?
Right? I can't live in an apartment, right? I drive an SUV. Why? Because I can fit my rig in it.
Yeah.
Right? So I call the people that don't do that, they're called normies. Right? And if I was a normie, I would
They
probably
used to call them weekend warriors, but that's not what that means anymore.
Oh, I meant if somebody who doesn't do any of it, right, is a normie. If I was a normie, no joke, I would have $1 million in the bank, because I don't know what I would, if I wouldn't have been spending all of this money on either bettering my band or obtaining more gear or whatever it is that I'm a part of. If I wasn't spending that money, I mean, there's only so many boats you can buy.
I was just gonna say, you just spent it on fucking Dungeons and Dragons, Magic cards, fucking Pokemon cards, fucking baseball games, season tickets. Dude, you just spent it on something else.
But see, I do all that stuff too. I have a pretty.
It would have been to a different level, though.
I always wonder, like, what would have happened. Like, I mean, that's why we don't have kids. I mean, you can't have kids and live the life that I've lived.
I mean, you definitely can. It's way harder.
Oh no, I'm saying I shouldn't say that. I was
probably
just,
couldn't.
I couldn't.
Yeah.
No.
Because there's plenty of dudes who have had kids.
I can't split my passion that many times and still be genuine about it.
Yeah, right.
No,
I totally
like Albert has kids and he has great kids and they're
right,
he's
exactly.
a great parent.
And there's certain guys, like, to switch genres for a brief moment, 50 Cent.
Yeah.
He didn't get serious about music, or the business of music, I should say, until he had a daughter.
Yeah.
That's when he was like, oh, I got to get serious about this, because that was his only way of making a legitimate living versus dealing drugs and selling fucking weapons.
But, like, for me, like, what's the end game? I mean, I'm not delusional thinking that we're going to be on. I mean, they don't play MTV videos anymore, so it's not like there's no goal there. You can't be the MTV guy at this point. And in my age, of course, is working against me at this point too. But what I would like is that just to get, I feel like we have a pretty solid following. If we could triple that, that would be a success story, in my opinion.
That's the only challenge in this town. This is the weird thing. In this town, being good is not a problem. Finding and marketing fans is the problem. Or finding fans and marketing to them is the problem. That's what I was trying to say. You go to other towns, not named Austin, LA, Nashville, or New York, and we don't realize how good we have it here.
Yeah.
Like, literally, in this fucking town, and I've said this a million times on every fucking podcast, so I'm sorry if you guys have heard this. I can throw a fucking rock in any direction, and I will hit a very, very good guitar player in the fucking head. Like, and I only have to throw 10 rocks to find a decent drummer. I got to throw 1,000 of them to find a bass player, and I got to throw 10,000 to find a good vocalist in this town. But in other towns, add a 0 to every single one of those problems. That's my point. Maybe add 2 zeros. You go to LA, some old friends of mine were in a band called 13th Step. And they had some steam going here locally, but they couldn't find a great vocalist. So they went to LA to find a vocalist. And I'm probably going to fuck this up, but basically what they described to me was, in Minneapolis, if you have an audition, you'll get 10 guys, only 10 guys to show up. 3 of them are terrible. 4 of them are mid. 2 of them are pretty good, and maybe if you're lucky, 1 of them is great. But that might take a year to get those 10 guys. In LA, you can get 1,000 guys to show up in a month, and they're all fucking terrible. Like the volume you have to go through. There's 30 million people in that city. There's more people in the city of LA than there is in the entire country of Canada. So to filter through the bullshit, it's actually in many ways harder to put together a good band in some of those towns, unless you're rich, unless you have an uncle who's an AR, unless you're connected.
Yeah,
right?
there's something. Yeah, some other
Right.
connection.
Then you have a vein to get into where you're skipping a lot of the bullshit. But to just start a thing from scratch in LA is just as hard, if not harder, than to do it in Minneapolis.
You know.
And I might not be telling that story truthfully, but that's the moral I took out of it.
You know, I'll say that I think is a very, very much a Minneapolis or at least a Minnesota thing, is that if you get stuck on a bill with a band that's outside your genre, this has happened to us like a good handful of times now, where we get stuck with like a Motown band or a hip hop band or a kind of classic rock type band, and it's like culture shock when we get on stage, and we're not gonna, what do you do last second? You can't be like, let's play it all in clean channel, like it doesn't work,
can.
right? But when that happens, not only is your audience a little at least curious, to check you out, but also the other bands are still supportive of you. And I think that's really cool. Like, I think the only dog eat dogness, it really comes from bands that are really similar to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bands who are not at all similar to you have no threat. They're not threatened. They don't care. So they want to support you, right? Like like I said, there are a couple bands that do more like jazzy stuff, or there's a rockabilly, hellbilly type of band that those guys are like, they're trying to boost us up, and we boost them up. It's a partnership, it's a friendship, it's a where it's not just dogs and cats fighting each other.
Yeah, and I noticed too the same thing. Like the more successful bands get, the better they treat each other.
Yeah.
Now there is some contradiction to this, like, because I know I've heard this story 1,000 times where buddies of mine go on a major national tour and they're treated like shit. Now, they're not treated like shit from the other bands, right? Because the other bands are pros, so they treat everybody like equals.
Yeah.
They get treated like shit by the festival people, by the tour people, because they don't give a shit. You're just another opening band. You're not going to be here next year. You're not the next big thing. You're just another whiny band who thinks they're special, right? So when you enter that, there's like a really shitty kind of small fish in a big pond moment that a lot of people have a hard time dealing with it. But that's not exactly what you're talking about. And I brought this up to just differentiate. That kind of band shitting on each other thing is an amateur hour tell.
And I don't mean it's a plague around here.
But it's a tell is what I mean. It's a tell. Like if a band is shitty, they're not legit. Because the real pros are super cool, super kind. They'll talk to you, they'll hang out with you. Like that's just not a thing. Right,
but I can definitely
that small ego shit we were talking about earlier.
I can definitely tell you about I have plenty of stories.
Oh, we got to wrap this up, dude.
I was one quick one. We opened up my old band 20 some years ago, well after this other band's prime. But one of the coolest shows I ever played. It was in 2002, I think. We were playing at the Motor Magic Speedway in, I think it was Bismarck, North Dakota, or Minot, North Dakota, one of the two. I get those two mixed up. Yeah. Anyway, it was a cool show. Like, they had motocross going on. Like, they're doing flips as you're playing your show, right?
That's fucking cool, dude.
Yeah. And
we got to do more shit like that.
They were trying to get like a more young oriented band to show up, but it was in the middle of North Dakota, so they got Bachman Turner Overdrive.
That's still cool as fuck, dude.
So
we're an American band.
So we got, was that Bachman Turner? I think that was Grand Funk.
Who sings "We're an American Band"? Is that BTO or Grand Funk? I thought that was BTO, bro.
BTO is.
God damn, I'm wrong, bro. Shout out to Trent.
But so we get to this show and you have to do the sound check at like 8 a.m. right? Anyway, they have this like 128 channel Midas board, right? And I'm like, I've never seen a mixing board that big, and whatever. And
every band has their own channels.
Well, but anyway, they're like, by the way, how many piece of band are you? And we're a 5-piece band. And he's like, pick which 3 things you want to mic. I'm like, what? And they're like, we don't have any more channels left. And I was like, are you kidding? Right? And they're like, yeah, and just tell us where you want to aim the lights, because we're not going to move the lights when you're playing. And there was clearly, like, they didn't like that we were a good 20, 30 years younger than they were.
Sure.
Right? They haven't even heard us play yet. They didn't like us. Right? But I've felt it when you go to a show and you're not being treated very, very friendly.
Yeah, it's weird. It gets weird. It's weird. But thankfully, it seems like we don't have many, if any, of those people in this town left. They still exist, but they don't last, I guess is what I'm saying.
What I meant by the negativity around the bands around here is just like, you know, you guys, if anybody who's met me and tried to do this to me, you know that I just walk away. Is like, I don't like when a band gets up on stage and somebody else starts just knocking them or ripping them or whatever. Yeah, it's just what a bad community. I don't want to be a part of it. So
I will talk about bad sound. I'll be like, Jesus Christ,
yes.
They fucking need to fucking, you know, dial the highs out of that. I do shit like that. Like, I'll criticize sound or tone. But that, I'm not really talking about the band or their talent. I'm talking about the audio experience as a listener, because these, again, are things that build into repelling crowds. Like, if your band doesn't sound good live, no, I don't care how good your songs are. If it hurts to listen to you, no one's going to fucking come, dude. You know what I mean? And I'm not talking about you and your band, but those bands that struggle to draw. And I listen to their shit, I'm like, yeah, you guys are good. Your songs are good. And then I go see them, and I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, it doesn't come across.
Ooh, it's hard to listen to. Like, your gear. Dude, it's your gear. You guys have shit, cheap gear. You're not taking this seriously. Like, and I preach this over and over and over again, and I feel like no one takes this seriously, but this is real. I don't care if that person's 22 or if they're 36. These people, most of them are on a budget. Most of them can only afford to go out once a month or a couple times a year. Most of them have kids or a fucking day job or a second job.
Yeah.
So when they do these things, they only have so many times to go out. And when they go out to support your band,
that's your
right,
opportunity.
And you sound like shit. And I don't mean you played like shit. I don't mean you played off key. I don't mean your guitars are out of tone.
Or the song's bad.
What I mean is your gear sounds like shit. It's not dialed in well. You play cheap gear. You have cheap cymbals, blah, 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 blah. You're not taking it seriously. These people came out to support you. They had a quote-unquote good time, and they're not fucking coming back because they didn't have a great time.
And you wasted your opportunity.
You didn't
convert.
Give them a great time. You have to impress people to make them want to come back. And then if you're really fucking good, not only will they come back, they will convince other people to come with them. And now you can build a snowball. Now you're building a fan base. But every single thing, Trent, that you just mentioned, your songs have to be good, right? You have to be entertaining. You got to kind of look good, right? You can't be hard to look at. I mean, get in shape. That doesn't mean lose weight. That means get in shape. Make sure it doesn't look like you're having a fucking stroke mid-set, right? Don't make people feel like, Jesus Christ, man, that guy is fucking struggling up there. Don't do that, right? Everything. Make sure your tone sounds good. I don't care if you think it sounds good.
Have a good tone.
Like, have good tone. Meaning, find professionals in your life that know what good tone sounds like and will tell you, dude, stop scooping your mids on your guitar. It's a mid-range instrument. Your mids should be at least 5 or higher, right? I'm just making that up. I'm just making that up.
I'll quickly interject just for the guitar fans, though, and
I'm just making the mid thing up. But, which I believe in, but
I 100% agree that if you scoop all your mids out of your guitar, now everything that the sound man is going to turn up is just going to be noise.
Probably.
Right,
I just made that up. I didn't want to get too specific.
But I'll say that I'm as somebody who does kind of scoop their mids, I'm also boosting my low mids. So those of you guys who are scooping your mids because you like that metal sound, but you're getting lost in the mix. Or it just comes out as mud or all fizz, whichever direction the sound man decided to go with it. The way to fix this is you can scoop your high mids, as long as you're boosting your low mids. That's all. That's my PSA for the day.
So the important thing, because you went really inside baseball there, and I'm with you. I totally understood, which a lot of people didn't, right? Especially newbies, right? So the concept, the important phrase he said is, if you're getting lost in the mix, right? And this is the opposite of the phrase I say, which is learn how to cut through the mix, right?
Yeah.
So don't worry about sounding good by yourself when you're playing along to a CD or your streaming service through headphones. Don't worry about sounding good when you're standing there in your fucking basement or your bedroom or your garage by yourself. Those are different EQ settings. When you get with a band in your rehearsal space, those should be also slightly different EQ settings than what you play with live. When you play into a room, there should be some slight tweaking to get that amp or whatever PA or whatever to get it to sound good in that room based on the people, the instrument, the style of music, including these things should also change when you're recording, right? So none of these things are static or constant.
But
It's all about cutting through the mix is the phrase I use.
And I'm not a guitar snob or anything like that, tone snob, whatever you want to call it. But I just, my advice for anybody is understand that your instrument has to take place in an
orchestra,
in a real estate, right? So if you have lots of lows, you're competing with the bass guitar and the bass drum. If you have lots
audio
of highs,
real estate, yeah.
you're competing with the cymbals, the singer, the snare drum. So you have to have your spot. And sadly, with guitars, you're gonna be in mids. That's where you live. So you have to. That's the only spot you fit. That's the only spot that's available for you to stay. Right. So if especially two guitar bands, man, you really both have to have mids and pretty much have different mids, right? So one of you should be using 6L6s, the other one using EL34s or whatever you're gonna do.
See, again, we're getting super inside baseball, and I don't want, but he's right, and you can figure out ways to do these things. But the concept of what we're talking about is tone matters, sounding good live matters, and what I'm trying to say is when you present people with an audio experience when they come to see you live, you have the potential to make a new fan. It could be, we have this weird demographic, even though we're new, we're starting to get enough data with the Montoya machine. We have this weird demographic where young men, 18 to 26 like us, and women above 55 really like us. And Jeremy asked me, he goes, why is that?
Because we have armadillos in our trousers.
No, I said, because that's the group of dudes that want to be us, and that's the group of women that want to fuck us. so either way, whatever you're doing, whatever your demographic is, whether it's the elderly ladies like us, and trust me, we're going to lean into it, dude, or it's the young men who, one young dude, he goes, dude, I like you guys a lot. And I go, can I ask you why? I didn't know this kid. And he goes, you guys are refreshingly masculine. And I went, what? And he goes, yeah, you guys are like men, but like, you're not like gym bros. And I went, that makes perfect sense to me. Now, how do I get my band to understand what you just said, right? But I don't know if that's true, but that's what one young man said to me, right? And he was exactly in that demographic of what the fucking analytics are telling us. So I think the moral of the story is if you're a band, the one thing you can control, or the two things you can control, is how hard you promote, which will directly affect your draw, which making a Facebook post is never going to be good enough. And number two is do your absolute best to sound good live, whether that means taking the gear you can afford and dialing it in to the best of your abilities, whether you think it sounds good or not. Trust the experts around you, trust the sound guy, trust your buddies who are in better bands than you and want what's best for you, or get an extra summer job or whatever you got to do, like when we were in high school, and get better gear. Figure out a way to present the best audio project or product to people live, because I think that's going to be ultimately your best way to build real fans. You can get exposure through streaming and YouTube and all this cool stuff, and you can get saturation and build a presence, and you can build hype when you come to a town.
But you want to build hardcore fans that
Owl City is the best example of this. If your live show isn't dope as fuck and you get 500 people to show up to a show and you fucking suck for any reason, everybody's going to talk about you in a negative way. So again, don't be Owl City. Don't build too much hype online before you've ever played a live show and then shit the bed live. Maybe play 3 shows under a fake band name.
Yeah.
Get your shit together. And then build that thing organically while you learn how to dial in your gear, invest in better gear. Because I think those are the only things we can actually control, right? How we promote and what we actually sound like live. And when you bridge those two things into a hybrid, I think that's where you're going to always, still to this day, especially with the emergence of AI, I think live music and the performance of live music is going to be more important than ever. Do you agree?
I agree.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up, dude. We are playing live. Trent's opening with Destroy the Planet. We got Madam Driver coming in from Mankato. Casanatra, local homeboys with us. We've played with them before. And then it's our first headlining show, guys. So it's super important. Go grab those pre-sale tickets. We need everybody to come out to this thing. We're promoting it like hell. It's $10 on the pre-sale, $15 if you can't do pre-sale, $15 at the door. If it's not sold out, if we do our jobs right, it's going to be sold out. And hopefully you can't buy anything at the door. It's going to be sold out. So grab your pre-sales. 21 plus, September 12th, Dayblock Brewery. Link is in the description. Anything else before we get the fuck out of here?
Check out Destroy the Planet and check out my podcast I do with my friends called Do You Remember This Movie?
We'll put the link for your podcast in the description as well, but the destroytheplanet.net, you can go to the montoyamachine.com, check us out. Link for the show and tickets is in the description. Will, get us the fuck out of here, buddy.